Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Charged Up. I'm Justin, your humble host. And as always, I am joined by my co-host, the self-proclaimed Marvelous Iggy, Ben.
Reminder, by the time this is out, Netflix's Castlevania will be out, and I would have probably finished it by then.
Oh, I forgot when that was releasing.
Good this weekend. At the time of this recording, it comes out this weekend.
Cool. I'll keep that in mind after seeing Spider-Man. And this week's guest, who just popped up on screen because we're visual for once, is another Final Fantasy VI cast member. We're just going through them all. VG Elucidator, also known as Alan.
Is this the part where I talk about something?
Ideally.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I am the creator of the Gaming Deconstructed on YouTube, and I also do a couple other little things. I like to draw and stuff. And looking for a good time.
Wink. He's down to dad.
Yeah. I'm kid's kind of noisy. Hopefully he's not being picked up too much. He's wanting to fight sleep to the utmost of his abilities. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're not the first dad we've had on here. It's fine. It's just the first one, like visual, but we'll get through it. I don't hear
visual
it, so.
Dad.
Yes, first visual dad. That sounds so creepy. This week we're gonna start off. We do have 3 full topics. We're not gonna spend an hour and a half talking about the CW shows. I'm sorry about that. But we're gonna start out with kind of just a fun little like game topic, I guess. Not about games, but like I think of it as a game. I want to kind of go over what like our kind of dream properties would be to make into a TV show. And you as the guest can go ahead and start with your idea.
Now you said any like intellectual property, right? Like anything that I wanted. Didn't have to be...
I'm scared now, but yeah.
Okay, so I was thinking, and it took me a while, and then whenever the answer dawned on me, it was kind of like a the kind of thing. So there's this band called the Deer Hunter, and I don't think, well, we haven't really talked too much about that, but they're arguably probably my favorite band. And Casey Crescenzo, the singer and the writer and everything for the music and stuff, he made this series, this album series. It's 1 through 6. They're acts, and it's not the Deer Hunter as in like I'm gonna go hunt a deer. It's the deer as in like DEAR hunter. So it's like the Deer Hunter. Okay. So it's acts 1 through 6, and it follows the story of a guy from the time he was a kid all the way pretty much till he dies. Till he dies. And the albums, it's progressive rock, by the way. But the albums are, they span over all this time, and he goes through, his mother dies, he leaves the home in the woods to go out to the city, and he goes to the city, and he meets this, it's basically a prostitute, and he starts working for this brothel, and he does all this other stuff. He ends up joining the war, which is like, I think, World War I. And there's just this huge epic story that spans out over these 6 albums. Right now they're on their 5th album. They're working on the 6th. But I think just kind of seeing that perspective, because the whole thing about the series or the acts is that he's extremely naive. So seeing everything through like a naive young man's eyes would be an interesting take on just, it'd be like a darker Forrest Gump, really, is what it is, kind of thing. And then there's the priest is also a character in there. There's different characters. The priest is actually also the bad guy because he doubles as the pimp. He owns the brothel. So
okay.
I could tell you the whole story. It's really interesting. What's my time limit for this?
I mean, I personally don't know this property, so I have nothing to say about it. Ben?
I got nothing.
Okay, so let me give you like a quick synopsis of it, and then you can kind of like make shots at it and figure out what's going on. So a hunter, he grows up, his mom doesn't really know much about her history and stuff. So the first album's generally about him trying to figure out just life in general as a kid. His mom disappears randomly, and he's trying to figure that out. This random person comes over, and he doesn't really know who that is, but he tells him this like weird words of wisdom kind of thing. the second album, it starts off, mom's dead, blood on the floor and everything. He takes all of his stuff. He decides, instead of sulking around, he's going to go and make something. He's going to figure out, he's going to find answers. Where did mom come from? Why is she dead? Or where did she go? And all those things. So he goes to the city, and that's where he meets this girl named Miss Leading. And Miss Leading is a prostitute, which he's extremely, like I said, naive, and he doesn't really understand what she does for a living.
It's misleading.
It is, and he does that with the names too. So she takes him in, and he stays with her, and she sleeps with him, I think. Yeah, she does. She sleeps with him, and he just thinks that, like, oh man, this lady's just the swellest person, like awesome, right? But this is also the first time that he's ever like talked to somebody and actually like had that kind of embrace and everything. Because again, naivety is like the main thing for this guy. So he falls in love like instantly. So he goes down the stairs, and then he wakes up next morning, goes down the stairs. He meets the pimp, which he doesn't know is also the priest. The priest or the pimp is like, what do you want? What do you want? How you doing? How was your stay? And he's just like, well, how do I work here? I want to work here. I have to see her more often. And he's like, okay, well, you could chauffeur her around. And so he thinks he's just like a cab driver, and he doesn't know why he's driving her around and all. He eventually, in the third album, or at the end of the second album, close to it, he finds out that she's sleeping with all these people, and he just can't take it. Even though she actually loves them, that's just her job. He can't take it. So he leaves, and he does what most angsty teens do, and they go off to war whenever they have that problem. And so he goes off to fight in World War One. This is in the third album, and it goes through all of the horsemen kind of thing. There's like the greed, there's death, there's famine, and all these other different things, and they're kind of themed throughout the album. And at the end, plot twist, he meets in his adventure through World War One, his brother, who he didn't know he had. And the general that he's fighting under is actually his father, which he never knew either. And he pieces this all together because there's a song where the general is talking about how he did this stuff with this brothel this one time, and he was just like, yeah, like talking all big and stuff for all the guys. And he puts it together that he's like, oh crap, that's my mom. And so him and his half brother or whatever, they get along really well. He ends up killing his dad at the end of it, and his half brother dies. Mustard gas is what I'm assuming killed them. And what his brother does is he says, hey, your life sucks. Why don't you just take my life instead? And so in the fourth album, he's actually living his life as his brother, because they look so similar, like people can't really tell the difference. So he actually starts this whole new life because his life up until
Don
then...
Draper situation.
What's that?
Oh, it was like Mad Men, where Don Draper isn't Don Draper. He takes over the identity of somebody after the Korean War.
Oh, okay. Spoilers.
I probably never watch it either, but I mean, but yeah, that would be a good example. Pretty much the same kind of situation. And then he has this like conflicting thing, like who am I? And there's a lot of like character development internally within him. He comes back to the same town. The priest is like, hey, you're like a war hero now. He knows who he is though, because he met him when he was younger. So he's like, hey, you're like this war hero now. Why don't you do that and do some good for the town? Run for office. And he's just like, you know what? That would be a great idea. All my life has been really crappy. I think if I ran for office, I could use what I have, what my brother gave me, to do some good. The priest helps him out, but he's also the bad guy, remember? So basically, he turns everything around. Once he wins the election, he becomes the mayor of the town. He uses everything he has on him as blackmail, saying that he killed his brother, took his identity to have his life, and if that got out, then it would ruin him, and the whole town would be devastated, and everything goes back to square one. And then in the fifth album, the best album, the conflict finally gets to a peak, and this new character called Mr. Usher, and they name him that, he named him that because he kind of ushers in the end. He comes along, and he's basically like this mafia guy, like old guy. Everyone hate, like they're afraid of him. One of the lines in the song is the shutters close when he's around, and parents and adults, they close their eyes, they cover their children's eyes, they look away. So he has this real intimidating kind of persona about him, I guess. And so he comes in, tells the priest, he's like, dude, why are you screwing around with this guy? Just go ahead, Just take him out of the picture. You know, you need to rule this place. You need to take care of everything. Do it yourself. Don't use this little guy. He's going to turn on you one day. He's going to figure out a way to do it, and you're going to be the one that loses. And so he's like, that's a great idea. So the pimp kills Misleading because he knows that he liked him. He liked her, rather. Sorry, Hunter liked her. And Hunter gets mad, finds out that he did that, and goes after the priest. He burns the church down. Because the church is also, like, on the other side of it, I guess, a casino, which he uses the funds and everything he gathers from the election to make his brothel into a casino. There's a whole there's like a whole subplot with that. And this is all in music, by the way. It's crazy.
Jeez.
And at the end of everything, though, at the end of Act 5, though, it kind of comes to this huge culmination. And the coolest thing that Casey does with his music is that he does reprises a lot. So the first time that he meets the pimp and the priest, there's a certain melody that plays. It's like a running D chord, dun 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 dun, and it kind of piano thing kind of runs throughout the whole song. But it's very kind of like happy sounding. But the last time that they meet, before they kill each other, it's like very gloomy and dark, and it's like a completely different take on the song. So it was just really cool to hear that song from like 3 acts or 3 albums ago, and you're like, oh my god, that's the same melody. It's just all distorted and evil now. So he gathers up the town, though. The pimp gathers up the town and says, hey, this guy's a bad guy. He burned the church down, when really we know who the real bad guy is. So he turns the entire town against him, and then they, from what I understand from the music, like kill him. So the town kills him. But that's not after. Sorry, get my words mixed up here. He kills the priest, and then the town goes and kills him. So it's kind of this, dark irony kind of thing where he wanted to save the town, but it's actually the citizens of the town that actually end up killing him at the end of it. And that's kind of like and I missed a lot of stuff. It's I spent months like looking into this. I'm not even kidding. Me and my friend were like obsessed with this. It's really good. Look into it. The Deer Hunter, guys. But I think that would make a very good show. So actually seen through the eyes of kind of like how Forrest Gump was done, through that kind of thing in like a World War I setting, kind of situation. Yeah, that's what I got. That's what I think. I know you guys didn't watch that, but
I can actually see that being a really good, like, we've talked a lot about American Gods on this show, and I could see it being kind of like stylistically similar to that show, like probably done by Brian Fuller, and like not, as like fantasy, like kind of heightened like god stuff that American Gods has, but that same kind of just like larger than life feel to it, while still like kind of grounded in a more realistic story. But it would be kind of cool. I've never heard of something where it's like it's telling literally a TV show arc across like multiple albums of TV. That's kind of, or multiple albums of music. That's kind of crazy.
It is. And like, I'm not like plugging in for them or whatever. They're not paying me or whatnot. But seriously though, if you guys want to like hear probably the most creative music that I've heard in a very long time because of creative storytelling, this guy's like the modern day bard, is the best way to kind of explain him. And it's very good. But if you do listen to it, if anyone listening, whoever, I would start probably with like Act 3 or 4 to get used to the music kind of thing, and then go back to 1 because they changed a lot between Act 1 and 3. So for anybody who does want to try that, that's how I would get into them, is start with 3 or 4 and then go back.
Yeah. I'd see each episode like being named after like a song, like one of the songs in the CD.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And like during the the end credits, it would be playing that song, so it kind of like recaps what happened in that episode.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
Really cool.
I was also thinking how
like a
how
True
cool
Blood
it would be
thing.
to hear like, yeah, like orchestrated music too, like of the song, like as it's playing or as the events are occurring, and then you could be like, that sounds like the melody from and that'd be kind of like a cool like nod to the actual song and stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of characters in there, and they're painted very well for being in music and just lyrics and everything. So I think that like a show, and it's not a happy tone. The entire thing is bad. Like Hunter gets shit on throughout the entire thing. And that's kind of what I think is so cool. And I've always been about the not happy ending because we see it so often. So the fact that this doesn't really end the way that you would expect it, you know, for anyone who's just kind of like coming in on the show and like, oh, what's this? You know, you wouldn't really see that coming. You know, what the heck? The hero's dead at the end of it? What kind of? But it's very. I'm not really sure if I'm using the right term here, but I guess Shakespearean in that sense.
I can see that being the right term.
Dead at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I think.
That's cool. Yeah, like I meant to actually.
I'm sorry I didn't pick anything that you guys were familiar with, but I was like, this would be awesome. I have to say it.
No, I mean, it kind of totally blew my thought out of the water of us like talking about, you know, each show, but it does sound really cool.
It sounds like it to me. It sounds like it would have been a show on TNT when TNT had like a killer lineup of shows. Like it sounds like it would be along there, like perfect drama sort of type of TV show.
Yeah, because it wouldn't be really too action-y at all. Like, it's just a lot of character development and just unexpected kind of turns and twists. So, yeah, I could see that back in their heyday.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird. TNT's kind of become like or not TNT, what is it? AMC, for a while, they were kind of turned into TNT back. Like, everyone's just kind of like replacing everybody as time goes on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you actually reminded me. I meant to start the show with a little quickie review of Baby Driver because I watched that over the weekend, and I want more people to know about it because it's fantastic. And I forgot to do that, and then you started your thing, and I was like, oh, right, like a show about, you know, music. Like, I was going to talk about Baby Driver. So I kind of want to do that real quick before we move on, if that's okay.
Oh, right.
But it's fantastic. Like, I'm not going to get into spoilers or anything, obviously, because it's a quick review. But this is possibly like Edgar Wright's best so far, which is saying a lot because everything he's done has been fantastic. But it's like it's the perfect mix of like creatively shot action scenes, beautiful integration of soundtrack, amazing chemistry. Like the Ansel Elgort is fantastic anyway. I don't really know what he's from, like if you know, I would know who he is or anything before this, but he's amazing even though he barely speaks. And Lily James is like the female lead. She was on like Cinderella and Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, like kind of some, you know, some okay stuff, but their chemistry is like some of the best stuff I've seen on TV in a really long time. And then the rest of the cast, like John Hamm, Kevin Spacey, Jamie Foxx, John Bernthal is in it, but he's not in it nearly as much as the trailers made it seem like. So that was kind of disappointing. But yeah, it's so creative because, like, for one, it's just shot beautifully, but also it is essentially a heist movie, but it's all like, as far as I can think of, every shot in the movie is from the perspective of like the getaway driver, Baby. So whereas most movies, you know, they'd like go into the bank and like see the heist and everything, this will just like linger in the car, like with him in there, like listening to his music, kind of like, you know, waiting for them to come out, and like he'll do some little dances and like lip sync, and like sometimes you can kind of see the heist like happening, you know, like through the glass or something like that, and then like you see them run out and he, you know, kind of kicks it into drive, and they get onto a car chase, and that's like a, you know, 5 whatever minute like getaway scene, and it's beautifully shot, like synced perfectly with the music. Any like gun shootout scenes, like literally the shots of the guns are to the beats of the music, and that's just like awesome. The way that all syncs together is amazing. The only like it's a really cool moment of the movie, but the only time it kind of slowed down for me was like there's a foot chase, and in a whole movie about like, you know, really like kinetic scenes with like car chases and, you know, shootouts and everything. Watching him run around the city on foot kind of brought the pace down a little bit, even though it is a really well done foot chase. And then the last like probably 20 or 30 minutes of the movie is just like this high octane, like edge of your seat, just like, you know, not even overhyping this. I know that's your topic, Ben, but not even overhyping this. Just like you have no idea what's going to happen next, and like the characters keep coming in, and it's like just it. Yeah, I don't even know how to explain it, but they build up this tension in the movie, and then it all kind of comes colliding together in the last half hour. But it's still actually like really funny and endearing the whole way through. And it's just, I wouldn't say it's the best movie of the year because that still goes to Logan. but it's probably the biggest surprise of the year so far. It was a beautiful movie, and I knew I was going to like it, but it was even better than I expected it to be. So I just had to kind of get that out there real quick. But
sorry, I was looking at some of the artwork, like poster work and everything, and it's very reminiscent of like older films.
Yeah, it feels like it.
By the way that they projected it.
That's awesome. So I recommend it to everyone out there.
I need to watch this now.
By the time this goes out, it will have been out for a few weeks, and Spider-Man will be out and stuff like that. So it's going to get lost in the summer movie shuffle, and I'd hate to see that happen. Because I know this is one of those movies that, like, when it comes out to DVD and stuff, people are going to be kicking themselves like, how did I miss this? It's something you should see in theaters. It's that kind of thrill ride that you kind of want to see on the big screen. So yeah, it's very R-rated though.
Hideo Kojima tweeted actually about this movie, and that's actually what piqued my interest about it. And was like, well, he's like a huge movie guy, so if he likes it, then I was like, this movie's got to be something. And then now you're sitting here telling me the same thing, so I'm like, okay, well now I got to go see it.
Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. But Ben, what is your property adaptation?
So I've been lucky that a lot of the things that I loved have come to life. A lot of the thing as a comic book nerd, as a video game fan, like I've said this multiple times on social media that we are in a golden age of things coming to life, whether we like it or not, and whether or not it meets our expectations or not. It's happened. Things have happened over the last 10 years that I never thought would happen. And I was torn between two choices and I'm surprised enough, I went with a comic book. But I was torn between two choices of one I really want to see. One was the Darkness comic, which is one of my favorite comic series. It was published about a couple years ago, a new volume of it. It's about a mafia hitman. But the other one, which has been in development hell for, I want to say, at least a decade now, and that's ultimately the one I would really like to see get made into a television show, is Neil Gaiman's Sandman. This is a thing. I wasn't a huge fan of Neil Gaiman for the longest time. Like when I started reading comic books, I had always heard his name, and I would always see images of Sandman. And thinking, and at the time I was a dumb kid. I was like, this looks stupid and weird. I want to go back to seeing Superman punch somebody. And I want to say about 4 or 5 years ago, I bought Sandman Sandman Volume 1, and then just going every single at the end of every chapter. Oh my God, this is brilliant. What the fuck is happening here? Because it's so out of this world. And I know a while ago Joseph Gordon-Levitt was tied to a project with it, but ultimately ended up not happening. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of glad it didn't happen because I don't want to see Sandman in a movie. Sandman is if they do Sandman, and given how TV budgets are not big, but the visual effects are better for TV now than they have ever been in the history of television. I would very much like to see Sandman done in a TV series because of the themes it tackles, because Morpheus is such an interesting character, and the fact that you can have episodes that are quote-unquote filler, yet still... Because there are issues of Sandman that don't involve Morpheus at all. Like there's volumes of the comic where he's not there. He's not the main protagonist, where they go to different time periods and they examine his family, one of the Endless, or different time periods, or someone he knew from the past. I would love to see that. I would love to see, especially, him going to hell to rescue his loved one from Satan, and Satan just says to him, "Yeah, I'm closed. I'm done. Here's the key to hell. Have fun." I would love to see all those brought to life. If you've ever seen Sandman, and it's not one artist, it's several artists over the not 10 volumes of comics over, I don't know how long I know it was like from 89 to like 93 or something like that, so a very long run of issues, that it's such a variety of art, yet it all has this distinct, very gothic sort of style that I would love to see attempted to be put on the big screen and see what they would do with Morpheus. How would they translate Morpheus, this endless god of, well, he's not a god of dreams, he's just, watcher of dreams, to media, and how do you make him relatable, and that he's pretty much just like us, just on a more heightened sense. That's what I would want to see, just because Sandman is, just because a movie I don't think would do justice of it, and you would miss so much of it. There's so many arcs you would miss, and a television show would allow you to run similar themes that the comic book did, keep it serialized, and tell interesting stories and potentially new stories, because obviously I don't want the same story told again. Otherwise, what's the point? But Sandman is something that I feel like, one would do really well because Neil Gaiman's a very popular writer, and you just putting his name on something and that ought to get people's attention. And I think the format would fit better. But that's if I could see one thing, it'd be Neil Gaiman's Sandman.
Question, and I didn't really think this through whenever I was saying mine too, but whenever you say adapted as a TV show, what platform, I guess, would we be talking on that? Because I think
I was trying to think that too.
Cable TV kind of has its own look, and Netflix shows have their own look, and so I
don't really know. I didn't really take that into consider because I know if it goes to Fox, it won't look like the Sandman. I know if it the closest I would say is Netflix, just because I know that's a cop-out answer, but Netflix stuff has been released. When they believe in something, they put money behind it, and it's close to the source material. I mean, with the exception of Iron Fist. And that was mostly the showrunners themselves, not necessarily Netflix as an entity. So I don't know, maybe HBO, because HBO has the budget. If I don't have HBO, and I don't Game of Thrones isn't enticing enough for me to get HBO. But if HBO was, I mean, there's a Watchmen deal going on, which we talked about a couple weeks ago. But if they said that Neil Gaiman's Sandman to be produced by HBO, I would do it, because I know they have the budget to get the right people to act on it, and the budget to build the amazing sets that would be required for it. So to me, it's a toss-up between those two. There is no exception. AMC is good, but I don't know if they have the budget to deliver what Sandman visually should offer. And I know NBC would just be NBC, CBS. They would just not be the right fit. Maybe the CW, because there's a lot of emotionally challenged stuff about Sandman, but even then it'd be a very watered down version of that character, and I don't want that. So if I had to honestly choose, it's either Netflix or HBO, because they're the two who, if they believe in something, they'll put money behind it.
Yeah.
My thought's actually Stars, because they've got a good running relationship with Neil Gaiman already because of American Gods, and that show, I mean, I know I keep going back to it, but it's one of the beautifully made shows I've ever seen. The style it has that no other show has, I think would really fit Sandman. Which, granted, a lot of that comes down to Brian Fuller, and he's going to be busy for the next few years. But I think they could do that because they're not a big network, but the few shows they do pick to actually make, because I had Stars for a little while for that show, and they have maybe 8 to 10 shows in their entire history. That they've cataloged on their app. And so when they make a show, they go all in. And so I think they could do it really well, especially with how faithful an adaptation American Gods is. It goes more, it delves more into some of the side characters. But as far as the actual adaptation goes, some of the lines are directly ripped from the book. It's very faithful. So I'd like to see them do it.
I was just thinking,
maybe
this, I've never actually heard of this, so I'm kind of looking up things as you're talking about it to kind of get an idea here. And if we had a time machine, we could pull back Alice Cooper. I'm telling you, this guy looks just like Alice Cooper a lot of times. But
I don't know if he was the inspiration, but I'm pretty sure there's an interview talking about who Neil Gaiman inspired of Morpheus, the Endless of Dreams.
That sounds right, actually.
It's well, I'm also looking at some of the art and everything for this, and I think, from a cinematography and thematic and artistic standpoint, you could make a ridiculously creative and beautiful show, or I mean, movie is what the thing kind of was. I was looking at a little thing about that, but I mean, you could see some brilliant visuals out of some of this stuff. Which would be fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. Sandman is one of the comics that shows you, at least to me, shows people that. Whenever people, and I've had a lot of people come to me this, isn't comic books just simple panels and stuff like that, and I show them Sandman, and they tell them, is that just superheroes punching each other? And they see the elaborate layouts, they see the intricate design, they see the extravagant backgrounds and everything. Is this is what comic books can be. I apologize for speaking right there, but so yeah, Sandman is one of the most, in terms of visuals, one of the most richest in terms of comic book history.
I dig it. It's a bit of a safe choice because, like you said, they were already working on one. Whether it's actually going to be made or not is unclear, but it is out there. But yeah, I dig it.
Because a lot of things I want to have made have already been made. So
Right.
it was like, it was like, what do I pick? Well, I'll
Options
just
are
go with this
dwindling
because I
down.
think it'd be really cool.
I'm
spoiled.
curious though. What was your video game option?
I was originally gonna do Golden Sun. I would have liked to seen a Golden Sun live action series, but not necessarily live action. But I was gonna do a Golden Sun animated series, but you said live action, so let's scrap that.
Animated's too
Yeah,
easy,
so-
honestly. That could be anything.
Exactly. So, if that that would have been my second choice, a live action, but I don't want to see it on
Okay.
live action. But that's just me.
Yeah, that's fair.
What about in terms of CGI? Could you do like a CGI
No.
real people kind of thing?
No,
No.
I want either.
We're
That's
not
still
we're not
not
doing
real
the Jungle
either.
Book here.
Oh man.
Yeah, I like both of those actually so far. That's why I wanted to do this. It's kind of fun
what
to
about
see
you?
like what
Yeah,
people come up with.
What's your thing? Because I mean, I feel like you're sitting here like you were like, all right, you're the guest, you go. All right, you go.
Well, I mean, it's
And you're
my
just sorta,
it's my
like,
topic, so I
judging
wanted to go
us.
last. But
Yeah.
no, like mine is actually what made me come up with this idea. Because there was like I had heard like kind of multiple like things talking about like this kind of extended universe, and I was like, man, I'd love to see a TV show. But mine is Harry Potter. Again, it might seem like a safe choice because there's already 7 books and 8 movies, as well as like kind of expanded universe games and things like that. But I feel like everything we've seen so far has been very structured around Harry Potter. And I want to see more of this world. Like, I wouldn't necessarily want an adaptation like directly from the books or anything. I just want an adaptation of the universe they've created. We've got Fantastic Beasts, like the new series that they're kind of doing, but that's pretty far removed from the actual like Hogwarts type stuff. And it's more just like, here's more wizards doing magic in America for some reason.
Well, the next one I believe is going to have Albus and
it's going to be young Albus.
stuff like
and
this.
but
yeah.
that's more like what I want. But I want to
Yeah.
see just like possibly even an anthology type series just like in Hogwarts. Like following an ensemble cast not focused around one person and his destiny. Just kind of like a day in the life type thing. Like each season of the show is like a year. So, you're going to have mostly like younger actors, which can be difficult to work with. I get there's some logistics issues, but they would grow like with the audience. Like a lot of our favorite kind of, shows growing up, like Boy Meets World, for example, it would be like a magical Boy Meets World. And I think like there's a lot of
Boy
novelty to
Meets
that,
World wasn't magical enough already.
Exactly.
Which one of them would be Eric?
Well, no, it's not about those characters. Like it'd be totally new
I know,
characters.
I'm
I know. I was trying to think, but I didn't have an answer, so I just deflected.
Slap an A on there. It's Erica now.
There you go. But yeah, like a totally new set of students. There can be some kind of like, weird mystery kind of like gently weaved through. But it's not going to be like some major thing where like by the end they're not even in school anymore. Like this is truly, showing their 7-year adventures in school. The day in and day out of life at Hogwarts. The normal teen drama and stuff like that, but also like heightened magic stuff. Like meeting their teachers, going to classes, like struggling through Quidditch, that kind of thing. It would be, it wouldn't necessarily be on the CW, but that's like the best way to kind of visualize, the style of the show. Because it would kind of have some of that teen drama, but like with the heightened concept that can allow. And honestly, like they have a decent budget. Like if you look at some of the things like Flash and Legends do, showing some kids in a wizarding school like wouldn't be that hard. Especially if you like the first 2 Harry Potter movies, for example. The bigger their concepts and like the needs of the story got, the bigger the budgets got. But the first 2 movies are kind of the most accurate to what I want, like those Christopher Columbus movies where most of it was practical effects. Like especially the wizarding chess, for example. Like all of those pieces were like real, they just kind of had them pulled around on like probably a system underneath the board, that kind of thing. But it was all very practically done. A lot of the effects were just kind of like the wisps of spells and things like that. So it would be pretty decent to do on a TV budget. But I want to see just like more of this world and like new characters in it. I think we've tied everything too closely to Harry Potter. Even that new play that they did, that's like 18 years later or whatever. It's like it's still about that core trio, and we've had enough of them. Their story is over.
Well, with a name like Harry Potter, it's in. I mean, it's I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying, but I'm saying like I think the reason why we're so tied to that like trio and Harry Potter in general is just because the series is called Harry Potter, and it's always like that's what everyone's familiar with. So, like whenever you slap a different movie title or something like that on there, then it kind of shies people away. They're like, well, I don't know what that is. I never heard of that before. But you're like Harry Potter and this, you know, oh, okay, I get what that is. So yeah, I think that's why that has that like kind of stigma. But I agree with you. It'd be nice to see more of it. If you don't mind, I did have a question pop up while you were talking about that. Mm-hmm. Now you said it would follow this there's 7 years at Hogwarts. Would you say that it would kind of follow the same cast as they go through the 7 years, or would it be like new first years as they come in, and that's what the different seasons were? Because there was a point where he kind of confused me just for a second about that.
Well, I said it could be an anthology series, and that kind of like, I don't know if you've ever watched Degrassi.
Well, I see pieces of it. I don't know Drake.
But that's about it. Picture kind of like that, where like as you know, certain characters get older or whatever the case is, like they can kind of be written out as like an older crew or as a younger crew comes in. Like they can bring people and like get rid of them as needed.
So it's not really like anybody is held on too high of a pedestal where somebody gets taken out. You're just like, oh, now the show's ruined, or like that's kind of like not the idea.
I mean, there would inevitably be like a core group that's followed throughout. Like there's always kind of the main players, but
Criminal Minds.
It would be kind of a thing. I'm gonna keep making other references to shows, but like Parks and Rec, where there was some kind of like there was some bit players that were always there, like Jerry. But as the show went on, like they became, regular cast members, and then like some of the other cast members left the show, and so like those that kind of had been built up like became bigger, bigger parts of the show, that kind of thing.
See, I was just wondering that because the way that Hogwarts is set up, it's like yearly, so or like year by year. So and shows like Parks and Rec and stuff, it's very organic. Like the flow of everything's very smooth, tied together because it's not like sectioned off.
Right.
So that was the only reason why I was wondering about that.
Yeah, it would definitely be like a yearly structure, but you'd be following like they'd go like season 1 would be year 1, season 2 would be year 2, season 3 would be year 3, but obviously new students would come and go because you'd have like even season 1 there'd be like the 7th years that are kind of like sprinkled throughout the episodes, but would be written off when they graduate, and then like year 2 like there'd be new first years that come in, and so there's kind of that natural flow to the cast, but the core group would still be there.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless one of them is killed or eaten by a dragon or something, but
or they
you gotta have drama.
Expelled.
Yeah, true.
Oh, I got expelled from
but
Hogwarts.
Get the crap
my kind of idea here is like there was a fan series. I don't know if it's still around or if maybe it's even continued since then. That was about James Potter. And it was like it wasn't officially endorsed or anything, but it was actually really good. I read it back in the day because I was like, I need more Harry Potter in my life. And this was kind of like, it was written a little simpler than J.K. Rowling does, obviously, but it felt like it belonged. Like they had an American wizarding school before it was solidified in Pottermore that there was one. Things like that. Like very natural progression type stuff. And it had, all new characters and everything. Obviously, these were the kids of the core group, but they weren't really in it very much. I think there was one point, like when James got in trouble, and like he had to answer to his dad, but they were like minor characters off doing their jobs, and the focus was on like the kids of those characters and an entirely new crew, things like that. And they actually like, it's kind of goofy. Like there was a YouTube group that like made these fan books into like fan films. I think they did the first book, and it was like just like a 15 or 20 minute short. Like they kind of cut, the important sections that they could actually film because they had like no budget. But then the second one was actually a pretty decently made, like full feature film. Again, on no budget, but like they had talent.
Yeah.
And so like it kind of got me invested in like these new characters that weren't even canon. And ever since then I've kind of thought about like, why is everything about Harry Potter? Like the Hogwarts universe could be extended into other things, and they made Fantastic Beasts, and it's like, okay, they know that it can be extended into other things, like that does well. They've got 5 of those coming out. So why not a Harry Potter TV show, or, a Hogwarts universe TV show? I don't know what it would be called necessarily.
That
Just call it Hogwarts.
It's Hogwarts. Yeah. True. Because that would work really well because it's a familiar name. It ties with the Harry Potter series without necessarily saying Harry Potter's involved with it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that'd actually work. Simple, to the point. It works. I was thinking of since you were talking about fan films and stuff. There was did you see that? I'm sure you have that trailer for that fan made film about like Voldemort, like the origin.
Yeah, the one that was like officially endorsed or not endorsed, but like they were
it's
told they could continue non for profit.
Yeah, as long as they didn't profit off of it, they're letting them do it, which I actually looked really good.
Yeah, it did.
I thought it was legit, like it was being made by Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers did it, right? Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like I've always wanted to kind of like see these backstories or like things that they kind of talk about or they kind of glaze over for a second. But I was like, fan film, that's crazy. Fan films are getting crazy now.
Yeah. It'd be really cool if this was the same group. Like this was a few years ago when I saw this James Potter stuff.
That would be
probably
cool, yeah.
like 5 or 6 years ago, and like they were mostly kids. Like I think the oldest one in the group that did all the directing and editing was like 18. But then he had like younger actors playing like James and stuff like that. So I wonder if it's like that same group and they've like gotten legit and are making a that'd be cool. I'd have to look into that.
Spent the last 7 years leveling up.
Yeah. I mean, when you start that young, like, those are going to be the visionaries of our generation.
Yeah, it really makes me regret some of my life decisions sometimes. I'm just like, man, if only.
Yeah. I was working with, like, Windows Movie Maker back when I was, like, 13 or something like that, but I didn't get, like, legit into this stuff until senior year when I took, like, video production classes. And I only had their equipment. I didn't have my own, so I've never really gotten to, like, get deep into it like some of these people could that have money and can make it work from a young age.
Yeah. I had an opportunity to learn how to do animation, and I started to, but my problem was I realized that it took a lot longer than I anticipated.
Frame by frame.
So whenever I was like trying to take all these shortcuts and it wasn't turning out the way I wanted it and all this other stuff, I stopped doing it. And then I picked it up again years later, like I'm talking like 10 years later. Now I don't have the time to do it. Like I have the know-how, I have the ability to do it. I just don't have the time. And that's one of those things where I was like, if I would have learned how to do it when I had the chance and actually got like decent at it and everything, that was at a time when YouTube and Newgrounds and all that stuff was in its infancy kind of. And I was like, I could have done so much.
Yeah.
But I missed opportunity. Oh well.
All these kids that spend all their time on their Instagrams and Snapchats and whatnot, like
all those
machines. They don't know how they're wasting away the best years of their lives when they don't have jobs and like responsibilities and children to get in the way.
Fast.
Like, they don't even know.
No, they don't.
Stay in
and
school,
it's funny
kids,
because,
but also like don't forget about your dreams.
Yeah, and don't worry about getting girlfriends and boyfriends. You're gonna forget about them anyways.
It's true.
Focus on you.
They don't mean anything.
They don't. They're horrible people. But you'll be.
I'm glad Brooke doesn't listen.
I don't think she does actually.
They could be your best friends, but they're still horrible people. Don't date him.
No, I met her when I was 24. It was fine.
Oh, you're like, I was just in 11th grade. Okay. Like,
no, I don't understand high school sweethearts. That makes no sense to me. People
No,
change the most during their early 20s.
I have a friend that married his high school sweetheart. That's a tongue twister, kind of. And they're actually doing phenomenal. It's a very rare case, but they're doing like as perfect can be. And like everybody thought the same thing. I was right there with you, man. I was just like sitting back there with like the group of the people going, not gonna happen. It's not gonna last. And we're sitting here shaking our heads, holding our arms and everything. And then sure enough, like 7, 8, 9, 10 years later, they've been dating since like freshman year. So like 13 years or something like that now. Still going strong. I'm like, good for
Speaking of not lasting.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a random side tangent. Ben, did you have any thoughts on the Hogwarts show?
Yeah.
I don't care enough about Harry Potter to care anything about the movies.
Don't cut yourself on those edges, man.
I mean, like, I don't. Like, it's the same thing with Star Wars, except I actually have actual venom for anything expanded Star Wars stuff versus Harry Potter I'm just indifferent about. Like, I read all the books, I saw all the movies, I really enjoy all the movies. I don't care enough about the world to want to explore more. anything. So it's like, to me, it's just like the Star Wars expanded universe. I was like, yeah, you're not important. If it doesn't happen in the movies, it doesn't matter to me. I'm sorry. That's how I am. If you want to enjoy them, you're more than welcome to. If you want to see that happen, that's great. That's why I didn't see Fantastic Beasts, because it's just like, well, it's not Harry Potter, so I don't care.
It's good though.
I don't care.
It's different.
Yeah,
that's what made me want something more,
don't...
actually, because it's like, this isn't Harry Potter, but it still like feels cool. Like, I like that it's different.
But I don't care enough to watch.
That's fair. It's not for everyone.
Yeah. Well, I'm not even a big Harry Potter person at all. My wife actually is, and she's the reason why I know as much as I do. Like, so by like association and by, I mean, she used to read all the books. I think, I don't know, what is it? She used to read every book at least once a month, or something like that. She was just, she took a course in college. She took a course in college as a Harry Potter class. And they had that the professor at that school was able to pass it off as literature, and it was a literature studies class. So, I mean, it is literature. It's going to be from now until the end of time. Like, people will be able to look back and be like, Harry Potter was a thing. It was a phenomenon that happened, and it was big. So it's got its place in time. But because of her, though, that's the only reason why I know pretty much anything about Harry Potter, or why I've seen the movies as much as I have.
I don't know. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. Like, I love that universe, but the only school that should have a Harry Potter class is maybe Hogwarts. Like, that's so weird. I found I'm a very logical thinker, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like there was a lot of holes with the whole magic thing, and that like, whenever I see it, I'm like constantly looking for like inconsistencies and problems that would arise and stuff. And there's just a lot of things that I feel like whenever they are brought up, or they are like turned to like J.K. Rowling's attention or whatever, it's just like, oh no, it's because of this. And it's just kind of like, well, it's magic. You could do that, and there's not really like a solid answer. So that was my problem with the Harry Potter like universe, is that if it's just like, if there's a loophole or an inconsistency, it's just go, oh well, I mean, it's magic, so like, I don't know.
Every franchise has that though. Comics has it. Star Wars has it. Everyone has that. Yeah. That bullshit explanation because things don't work. Like, everything has that.
Although I find that actually really legit. Because in my opinion, like, when it comes to futuristic stuff or fantasy stuff, like, you can't really like comprehend something that isn't in your world in the first place.
I guess
like, what are you to say, like, with your, like, real world logic, how that world works? They have different.
True.
Yeah.
So. I guess you anticipate a certain response, and then when you don't get that response, you're just like, that's not as good as I thought it would be. I'm not happy with this. Disapprove. Like,
yeah. Well,
so I guess that's where I'm coming from with that. Yeah.
Or a fan of anything for that matter.
True. I don't know if I'm actually I don't know if I'm that big of a fan of anything. God, this podcast has opened my eyes to so many things. Different TV shows, movies. Am I really a fan of anything?
It's what we do here. We open and close minds simultaneously.
I namely do the closing, but whatever.
True. Okay, so we're just gonna awkwardly move on to the next topic because I don't have a segue.
Hang on, hang on. Sorry. Yeah. My wife just texted me. She can hear me, and she just texted me. It started as a kid's book, so they didn't have to explain every single thing. It was an adventure/quest story. So
it's true.
She can hear me.
It was only when it got super popular she had to figure out the rest of it.
True. Yeah. Anyway,
because she said like there's things
like
I think around like book 2 or something like that doesn't really hold up at the end because she's like, I didn't know it was going to turn out like that when I wrote it.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
that's a legit answer though. Like, who can really anticipate that kind of thing? So yeah. Anyway,
like the Zelda timeline. Yeah, Ben, go.
So I wanted to talk about something that's been prevalent, especially with San Diego Comic-Con coming up. E3 just happened, and a whole bunch of we're in the swing of the summer movie season, and that is about hype culture and the idea of expectation versus reality. There's nothing wrong with. I want to state this very clearly that there's nothing wrong with hype. We all experience the hype. The hype is great. The hype is a great feeling, but I feel like at a certain point we let the hype consume us. We let the hype control us. We become part of the hype. And versus letting the hype be not a part of us. That made no sense. I was trying to do Yoda. But
Hype.
But, exactly. But I feel like at a certain point when we see a trailer announcement, like I'm gonna use video games, Justin, just because it's the easiest thing right now. Like Metroid Prime 4 got announced last time, a month ago now, I think.
Yeah.
And we don't know anything. And already within that first hour, we had people speculating what it's gonna be. And there's nothing wrong with speculation, but I feel like what people do, and they only do it to themselves, is that they build these expectations up in their head. They build it up so much without seeing a single shred of evidence of what the game's actually going to be like, what the movie's going to look like, or what the book is going to... Actually, we don't do as much with books. People don't really care about books nowadays. It pretty much just comes out and then this drops, which sucks, but it's just culture. Yeah. We have an expectation of what things are going to be based on trailers, based on previews, stuff like that. But then when the thing comes out and when it doesn't meet our expectations, our absurdly high expectations, because we saw a trailer that one frame in a trailer showed one thing, that means that one thing is going to connect to this, and this, and then when it doesn't happen, because that was never going to happen anyways, we are left disappointed. We are left saddened. We are left destroyed because why didn't X happen when I built it up in my head so much? And I feel like that's a danger that's happening a lot with people, that they are allowing themselves to be consumed by hype, and they're creating a something that does not exist, that probably won't exist, that will ultimately disappoint them because there's no way it's going to meet the vision of whatever is being created. You know. I tried to think of another example that just came out recently.
Just in case anybody hasn't seen that trailer, or you're a hermit or whatever your case is, but it literally just showed the title. And
right, people already building on like expectations of what it's going to be and gameplay styles, and you know, and they're already speculating, and they're all like, well, it's going to be this because this is what it's been doing. And I'm thinking, no, we have no idea. We don't know. And I feel like there's a certain level of hype that everybody needs to go through. It's fine to be excited about something. It's fine to be super pumped. But at the same time, we will need to start reeling it back a little bit and like not trying to get... And I've seen this on Twitter and it pisses me off so much, where a game will come out and never read the comments, but I'm an idiot. I read the comments. And you see these like, why wasn't this here? And I'm thinking, they never said anything about that. I mean, they never said anything about these things. You built those expectations over your head. You put them there. Nobody confirmed it. Nobody said anything. But it's just setting your expectations to the right level, you know, and understanding that what you want may not be there, and that's okay. And you find ways to enjoy it. And if you don't always enjoy it, that's fine, but don't take it out on the person who's creating whatever you want created. Whoever's creating something. I'm trying to think of
except for Mass Effect Andromeda, you can take it out on them. They knew what they did.
Well, yeah, but also that game was rushed and everything. But even then, like, you know, if you created these lofty expectations that the game's going to have, like, I know, talking about Andromeda, that people wanted, like, ship-to-ship battles and stuff like that, and they put, like, it's going to be in the game, because they alluded to it in 3, and it's going to be this and this and this, and it wasn't in there. I don't think it was in there.
It wasn't.
Okay, and people got disappointed, and I don't think BioWare ever said anything about that was going to be in there. That was going to be a feature. So,
those are disappointments that I didn't even know about. I mean, I was just disappointed as a Mass Effect game, as what it was. But yeah.
Right. But my point is that because we live in the internet and because everything's trying to go viral, everybody needs to just calm the fuck down and just set your expectations to a reasonable level. You can still be excited about something and have the utmost hype. Me with Spider-Man Homecoming, although I'm not really that hyped for that movie this weekend. And still, but then understand that it's probably not going to meet all your expectations, but still have a perfectly okay time. And that's okay. Then again, the audience I'm probably talking to is probably 15 years and younger, and they don't understand the concept of lowering expectations and not being super excited and creating their own reality of things. But what do I know? I'm just saying.
Bo Burnham has
in
a good
basic
song
words,
about that.
Yeah. Calm the fuck down. And don't get mad at people for creating something that isn't your vision, because it's not your vision.
I agree. I think my biggest issue with that isn't necessarily like unearned hype. which is an issue. I'll agree. And a lot of that comes from the internet culture because, like, you know, news sites need clicks, so they analyze every little bit of anything that comes out. It's what happens. Especially Nerdist. I love Nerdist, but man, they can't stop putting out daily videos about nothing. But
Game Explain. Game Explain.
My biggest issue is when, like, for example, a trailer is cut together, and most of the footage in that trailer is not in the movie, but it makes the movie look like a different thing than it is. And some of that could just be because, like, they cut the trailers, you know, months before the movie is coming out. I get that, and they don't know what they're going to cut yet. But, like, they'll cut an entirely tonally different trailer than what the movie is. Like, there was actually an example that came from, I think it was from Jordan Peele himself, about how the marketing around Get Out was very confusing. Because people didn't know what kind of movie that was going to be. Like, yes, it was a horror of sorts, but they showed it more as just like a straight up, you know, scary movie. Whereas really it was a, you know, social commentary. It was a dark comedy. It was a thriller more so than just like straight horror. All of this stuff, but you can't capture the nuance of something like that in, you know, a trailer spot or in marketing because everyone needs everything simplified. And some things aren't simple. Even like Baby Driver, for example. Like, that's another movie where it's like there's so much more to it than what the trailers show. And sure, that could be enough to get you in the theater, but you're not going to know what to expect when you go in.
Just by hearing the name, because I honestly, up until about a week ago, I had no idea what this was about, Baby Driver. And because there was that movie like Boss Baby or whatever that came out, and it was a cartoon thing, I assumed that it had something to kind of do with that. So, like, by word of mouth, I just heard the name, have no idea what this movie is about. Which is also kind of another thing that's, I guess, people have to think about whenever they come up with titles for movies and stuff. Not that it's a problem, but, like, if your title isn't directly like, this is what the movie is about, then it paints this picture that is completely unrealistic just because I have no idea what it is. Which kind of ties in with what you're saying, but that's like creative titles and things that are interesting like that are kind of dangerous in marketing because it doesn't really paint the picture of it. Like the you can't really paint the picture of Get Out, you know, with a trailer. Yeah. So, sort of like I thought that kind of tied in a little bit.
And it can be hard to do stuff like that, like build up hype for something that is so secretive. Like, you know, let's take the Star Wars Episode 7 trailer. Or teaser trailer. I know you said you don't care much about Star Wars, but that teaser shows nothing. And yes, it's a teaser. It's not supposed to. But, like, if they showed that for something that wasn't Star Wars, no one would have cared. Because there was literally no substance to that teaser. But everyone's, like, thirsty for some little bit of information about new Star Wars. Like, they were like, analyzing every single screen of that trailer for, you know, bits of information. But if that were like Arrival, for example, you know, an original property, like not tied to anything, but equally mysterious, it would have gone under the radar and no one would have even cared. So you have to, like, part of hype is showing just enough to give people an idea of what something is without, like, overdoing it like they've been doing with Spider-Man Homecoming, where there's so much information about that movie that there's probably not going to be any surprises when it actually comes out. It's, you know, when this goes up, it will be out, but that's beside the point. Like, that's a problem. Like, you have to market your movie in a way that builds hype but doesn't ruin it. That's a fine line.
That brings up something else that I just kind of, again, this has been like a very enlightening podcast for me. But I can't believe that we live in a time where, I know that sounds kind of first world problems kind of thing, but we live in a time where when a trailer comes out, you have to go, I don't want to watch it because you know it's going to give too much away. And at that point you're like, well, what's the point of watching the movie, you know? But
Terminator Genesis, Spider-Man Homecoming.
Literally, like, everything that's come out in the past, like, 10 years. I mean, it's crazy.
Trailers exist to enlighten you on things you don't already know about. But people only want them for things they know about.
Yeah, and it's just to give you, like you said, a taste to make you go, like, okay, well, you have my interest. I want to know more. I'm going to go watch that movie. But in so many movies, you know, you watch the trailers, and they do like 3 trailers before the release, and by that time you've seen every major plot point or like a character reveal. What movie was it? Superman or something, where it showed Doomsday?
Yeah, like the final Batman v Superman trailer.
Yeah. I was like, if you never showed me that clip, I would have had no idea that was going to happen. I would have thought the entire thing was about Batman versus Superman, and that would have been it. And then whenever that happened, I would have been like, well, this is a pleasant surprise, you know?
Yeah.
But instead, I knew about it weeks beforehand.
And that movie didn't need the extra hype.
No, it didn't. It was just Batman. You just put the little shield up with the Batman and the Superman, and people were like jizzing in their pants. So like, you didn't even need to give anything.
They already showed the Wonder Woman reveal, like when she, kind of like fell into the battle with them, and they're like, "Is she with you?" No, I thought she was with you. Like that was a really good tease. They didn't need to also show Doomsday.
No, they had like they were just like, how can we get people even more hyped? We'll show them all the plot points.
Or Spider-Man showing up in Civil War, which that totally ruined a perfectly good moment.
Yeah, how freaking crazy would it have been if you had no idea? You go to the movie and you're just like, Spider-Man? What? Like that would have been such a different experience.
They had even actively edited him out of a scene in the trailers. Like there was that whole kind of squad shot when it goes across everyone. At the airport, and Spider-Man's in that scene, but in the trailer they cut through him all and he's not there, and then he has that little tag at the end. It's like, why cut him out of your lineup if you're still going to spoil the surprise?
Yeah, they're like, no, it's just the guy's voice, they'll never put it together.
So I don't get this stuff. Like personally, I think on the internet it's impossible to not have things spoiled for you.
It's a very tricky game to learn, to master.
But they could try a little harder. Like, you could have to seek it out. But a lot of the times, like, you can't avoid this stuff. Because if you go see another movie, you're going to get 15 trailers before you see that movie. And you can't just leave. Yeah. Like, you can't click away.
Browse any website. Or even on Google, on my phone, if I swipe swipe right, it gives me, like, a list of, like, headlines and stuff. Mm-hmm. They're on the headlines, too. Yeah. So it's, like, it's so hard to avoid these things.
Because it's that clickbait culture. They want you to look. That's why they put it out. And then everyone covers it.
Or they trick you. Yeah, they trick you. I remember for Age of Ultron, I was just watching like a thing about no indication they're going to talk about anything spoilerific about a post-credit scene. It was for Winter Soldier. It's just like, oh, they're talking about Age of Ultron. Okay. And then they spoil the fact that Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver with the post-credit sequence of Winter Soldier. I was like, well, thank you. I didn't want to know that, but fucking thank you. I've had pretty much every single Marvel post-credit sequence ruined for me because of some stupid news outlet or my idiot brother.
Yeah, because they'll have the actual article, and then like at the bottom there'll be like 300 words of just like, also they announced this and this and this that you didn't probably want to read because you're on this article instead. Like, I know it's for click-through rates, but good grief.
And they get paid for that. That's what makes me sad.
Can we take a moment to talk about just real shortly? I know you have like a schedule and stuff, but can we talk about for just a second how freaking annoying it is to click on an article and one of two things happens? It's a slideshow or it's a video. Can we all agree that that's like just stop doing that, everybody?
Yeah, I have to like go through like when I compile the news, I have to make sure like no video is going to play when I pull it up, and then like pause that. Wait to see if it's going to start itself anyway, because half the time you pause it and then like you click away and the audio starts playing and like it didn't accept the pause.
Or you pause it and then you click off of it and it resumes playing again.
Yeah, exactly.
I've had that happen once or twice. Or the ones where you have to click read more. I already clicked on the stupid article. Like, obviously I want to read it. Like, why would I have to sit there and click read more? It's just,
And each time it'll pull up a pop-up that's like a 5-second countdown or something.
Oh god, those are
horrible. Oh, that's the worst. Yeah. That's my pet peeve.
I feel like if the internet had like blood vessels and arteries and stuff, it would be a person that just sits there and drinks the grease out of a McDonald's fryer. And that's like the internet is just sludge, and you have to like sit there and trudge through all of it before you actually get to anything good. It's just
that sounded like a Jaden Smith tweet.
Well, what are eyes for, you know? I mean, anyways.
Yeah, but I feel like we got off topic. Ben, was that kind of where you were going with that?
I mean, yeah. I had another example in that Watchmen. That was the thing I was thinking of, Watchmen, the trailer when that first came out, because everybody, I had quote unquote to my friends in college. I had tricked them to see Watchmen because I showed them the trailer. I had talked up the movie for a good 6 months, like it's the greatest thing ever, and like a good half of them were like, that was fucking boring. At the end of it, the trailer was misleading. I'm like, but that was the comic. That was boring. I'm like, well, shit. So it's like, yeah, trailers can be misleading, and I hate that. And hype culture is dangerous. Do not let the hype consume you.
Yeah,
you consume the hype.
Yeah, I recently finally watched.
I want that as a T-shirt.
Superman, and the trailers for that movie were the only redeeming things about it. It seems because everything else was super boring.
Yeah,
you didn't watch the Ultimate Edition, did you?
No. I thought about it.
That's the better. That's the better version. It's not a good movie still. I love it, but it's
here's my argument. One, the regular version was on HBO Now, and that's why I watched it. I had to seek out the Ultimate Edition, and it was a streamed version. Didn't look as good. With action movies, you need a good bitrate and everything, or else it's just going to chop all to crap whenever anything motion happens. And also, I already was just kind of hesitant. I was like, okay, I should probably watch this before Justice League, just so I have some point of reference. Because I watched Suicide Squad, I watched Wonder Woman. Let's get it over with. And I wasn't going to waste an extra half an hour on my 4-day weekend watching the Ultimate Edition of a movie I already was barely cared about. So.
My friend, he's a huge comic book guy, and he said that he watched the original or regular, the theatrical release, and then he saw the Ultimate Edition. He said that it bumped it up from a 6. What does he say? From a 6 out of 10 to a 7 or 8 out of 10. So I mean, apparently it did make a big difference.
That's a high score from the start, though. I'd give it a 4, mostly because of Wonder Woman.
He's watched it enough times that I think that he's succumbed to some kind of strange movie Stockholm syndrome. That's my where he's slowly loving it.
Just like Greg Miller.
The only one who likes this goddamn movie. I will like it to the day I die.
Well, man. You and that guy that trolled me on Twitter.
We're gonna fight in November. Right, we're gonna fight in November about Justice League when we review that. We're just gonna be at each other's throats.
I'm expecting to like it.
I would like to, but I was gonna say one of the things that really irritated me about Batman vs Superman was the fact that they just had to have this weird, awkwardly placed montage of oh look, these are all the other people we're gonna make movies of. That
was
bugged
one of the only parts I liked.
I like that. I was screaming in the movie. They're like, "Oh, it's Aquaman. Oh, it's this." So, as a nerd, you're right.
It was awkwardly placed. I wouldn't have minded it if it wasn't just hey, Bruce, get weird footage of all these things out of nowhere,
But it was so cool seeing them.
It was. I mean,
Plus,
it was
took
cool.
me out of the movie
for a
little while. So.
Yeah, I just didn't like how they did it. They're just all at once. It wasn't really subtle where he's just you see a file or video playing with Aquaman in the back and you're like, oh shit, that's Aquaman. And did you guys see that? And you have to go watch the movie again or whatever to catch it. One of those kind of things. Or it was just so blatantly in your face that I just kind of, it's one of those things where it's that's where we are now. That's what it's come to. You can't throw subtle hints at us.
I mean, it's more subtle than Iron Man 2 was. And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
What was an Iron Man 2?
Hey, Tony, come with me. I was going to say Professor Fury.
Oh.
I'm Nick Fury.
Yeah, I'm Nick Fury. Come talk to me for a second about the Avengers Initiative I want to get together.
Well,
but I'm doing a movie right now. No, come on, let's go. Let's talk about this. But I'm doing a movie. Doesn't matter. Come on.
I don't know. I didn't see that one as that bad because they teased it at the end of the first one, so you kind of had it coming. But the thing about Batman vs Superman, it was just so blatant, and it just kind of bugged me. I mean, it was still cool. The thing is no matter how bad the movie is, it's still incredible to see all these illustrations brought to life. So it's for me, it's kind of hard to kind of in the same boat as Iggy. I'm I it's so cool to see these things brought to life that it's as bad as it was still kind of cool.
And that's hype culture. I mean, they're always going to bank on it might spoil things for you, but it's man, that's so cool to see. I'm glad I got to see it 2 months before the movie came out.
That part's not cool.
No, but I'm just saying that's what they're banking on.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, well, is that necessarily hype culture if they're making movies about things that have already existed before? A lot of people know Justice League and
that. It's different.
I guess.
By your favorite actors and Ben Affleck.
Who, by the way,
Ben
did
Affleck.
a way
The fuck
better
kind of
job.
shade was that?
I thought that Ben Affleck did a way better job being Batman than I ever thought he would. Like, whenever I heard he was doing it, I had no faith. And then I watched it and I changed my mind.
No, he was great. Like, I like him more than Henry Cavill. That dude's boring. But
Oh, so boring. So
but a lot of
copy
people
paste.
like don't like his Batman, and I thought it would be funny to say that, because Ben Affleck is not the revered actor he once was.
I think he did a really good Batman, but not as good Bruce Wayne when you
Yeah.
compare it to Christian Bale. I thought Christian Bale was like the perfect Bruce Wayne, but Ben Affleck's Batman is like the Batman for me. Just his use of gadgets and everything in the movie, I thought that was like, oh,
Yeah, he was so
that's
visceral, too.
that's Batman. That was Batman. So
Plus, Alfred made all this stuff. How goofy is that?
I mean, Alfred's a badass, so
it took me out of it a little bit that like Batman and Alfred look like they were almost the same age. That kind of bugged me a little bit.
Yeah.
But and that the voice actor of Scar was Alfred, that kind of also threw me off. So every single time I heard him talk, I was just like, he's gonna kill you, Bruce. He wants your
He's
throne.
done a lot of things. Like,
He has, but it's just like he's stuck with me as Scar. So Jeremy Irons.
yeah, I don't want to get. I actually have more things to say about Batman v Superman, but I don't really care about it enough to take your topic.
Yeah.
Was there anything else?
Sorry, I feel like we're talking over him.
no, that I'm pretty much done. That's it. That again, do not let the hype consume you. You just consume the hype.
Put some
Wise words from the marvelous one.
salt and pepper. in
Self-proclaimed marvelous one.
Shut up. I get to say that. Movie. Let's move on to our guest topic.
No, we got. You know how this show works.
Oh, my bad.
Jeez.
Yes, I'm
It's
sorry.
like we've been
already?
doing this for 2
Sorry.
months or something.
I get super salty when we talk about when anybody talks about Batman v Superman in a negative light because I like that movie a lot.
All right. Well, real quick, let's get a Patreon plug out of the way. We did restructure it all. I mentioned that last week. Now for $1, you can get all of the content early, which is pretty fantastic. For $3, you can watch what you're possibly watching on YouTube right now, live. We do this show and the Gamescast live now. The video goes up the same time as the audio goes up. So, for Patreon, it's the Friday. For regular folks, it's the following Wednesday. Just so that's clear, video and audio same time. And at the $5 level, there's still the weekly game giveaway. That didn't change. We also have t-shirts on our store, which you can access at the Charge Shot website, or also the actual Spreadshirt site that I will link to both of in the show notes. And as always, we also enjoy just reviews and things. If you don't, if you can't support us financially, I understand that. But there are other ways to help us through their views, and just sharing it with your friends and things like that. But yeah, whatever you do, even if it's just listen and or watch weekly, we appreciate you.
Buy all
Big
of
and
our
small.
stuff.
What?
Give us all your money.
But preferably give us all your money.
He's like, no, but I'm very humble. Just, the viewing, just spread the word. Just give me your wallet. Just spread the word.
And be sure to smash that like button.
Spread the word and spread your wallet open, Yeah, anyway, this got weird.
Yeah, I was like, spread your... okay, wallet, okay.
Yeah, I thought that too. I went with wallet. Let's stop it there. This isn't your TV show. Because it's about a hooker. I was making a callback to the prostitute.
It's very
It's
tastefully
funny.
done, okay? It's like
That's funny,
it's like
Zara.
art. Okay. It's like art. I can't think of anything else.
Like that Maroon 5 song that I didn't... Fun fact, real quick. The Maroon 5 song, She Will Be Loved. Growing up, I didn't know that was about a prostitute. Because when I heard the lyrics to it, like the chorus, I heard Beauty Queen of Only 18 Sheep. So I had no idea the song was about a hooker, because I thought it was like a shepherd or something. But yeah, it's Beauty Queen of Only 18.
Female shepherd at that.
I don't remember the rest of it, but
Shepherd from Mass Effect. Shepherd Commander. Sorry.
get over it. Yeah, and anyway, let's move on to news. That was an awkward side tangent. So let's start with the most frustrating story of this week for me. This came out yesterday, I believe, and it is the formerly exploding Samsung Note 7 has been apparently repackaged and is going to be re-released as a new budget phone called the Galaxy Note Fan Edition. Most people know about the story already, but if you don't, this was the last Note phone that was released. Had a battery defect in it that would cause a limited number of the phones to essentially explode when they got too hot. Usually while charging or like in your pocket, things like that, where friction can rub up and make it hot.
Oh, yeah.
So they recalled them all.
Yeah,
and then
friction.
they put them back out saying they were okay. And then recalled those that they had said were okay, realizing that they didn't actually figure out the problem in the first place. And so they just did a straight recall saying, you don't get to have this anymore. So now...
So are they just repurposed? Like, are they the ones that they took from people? I mean, I'm not trying to get ahead of you or anything, but
they are.
That's man.
Basically what they did, like, I had one. Like, I got one. It was the only phone I pre-ordered.
Get your phone.
I've said this story before, but it's the only phone I've ever pre-ordered. I got it within 2 weeks. It was recalled. I tried to hold on to it until they said that they could do the recalls in store. So it's like, okay, fine. Just a simple drive, not the big deal. I took it there, got it exchanged for a different Note 7. Because at that time, you could either exchange it for one that they had sent in, like a new batch of them with new batteries. You could switch it out or get a different phone. I was like, I love this phone. Why would I switch it out if they've got it fixed? So I got a new one, and then another 2 weeks, they got recalled again, and just a recall, no exchange. So I waited as long as I could until the Google Pixel came out, switched it out for the Pixel, and have had it since. That was I think it pretty much all went down last September, when that was finally over.
I also have a Pixel.
Yeah, Pixel buddies.
Pixel XL.
Yeah, same.
Sick.
I wanted the blue one, but it was going to take 2 weeks longer to ship.
Man, look at even the same. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow, we got the same one. I normally get a black phone, but I decided to try.
Hashtag left out Iggy.
With your stupid iPhone.
It does the job for me. That's all I
Yeah,
ask.
that's fair. I mean, if you if you don't want to feel like you own your phone, sure, get an iPhone.
I just felt like he was just like, yeah, Pixel buddies. He's like, but it does the job. And he's like, I understand that. I'm okay with this. Like, it was just such an immediate
No, I don't
funny.
I don't get all the talking about phone stuff. I had an iPhone before, and I didn't really like the interface or anything, so I switched back to Android. But they're fine.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, so then Samsung released the S8. Everyone was kind of worried about it, but the S line wasn't having problems. It was only the Note line because of the way the things were positioned. Basically, there was a contact that wasn't insulated properly, and so it would make contact with the battery and create a spark. The S7, they kind of they moved everything, or the S8, they moved everything around, had some really awkward placement of some things as a result, but it's been fine. So now apparently they're taking the refurbished versions of these phones that they took from everyone, which we got refunded. There was some kind of loyalty bucks that we received, I think it was a $25 credit or something like that. Nothing major. But yeah, now they're putting them out at, I believe it's $400 something. And I don't know if they're even available to be put on a contract or anything. I think they're just if you want to purchase one outright, because they are refurbished phones. And there's an image on here for the video people, and these were awful. It was an awful situation. It didn't bankrupt them or anything, but they were seriously in the hole because of this issue. And now they're re-releasing it with the same phone, just fixed maybe, to try and get some of that money back. And it's just could you be more scumbags? It's just, I don't know. I lost all faith in Samsung then. That's why I went to the Pixel instead of the S7 or something like that. I wanted the best phone out there, and it was the Note 7. Now it's not. It's still not. But I love that this is called the Note FE, which stands for Fan Edition, but I could think of a few other things it could stand for instead. But yeah, this annoyed me. I don't cover a lot of tech stuff, but this was just a big deal to me. Because basically, like, there was literally a point where they, like, anyone that didn't return them, they put through a software update that would brick their phone. Like, it would disconnect it from all cellular services. It would force the battery to say that it wasn't charged when it was. So, like, you couldn't use it for more than, like, half an hour without it dying. All the stuff to get people to return them. And then now they're selling them again.
That's the big man, though. That's what they do. They have complete control over everything.
Yeah.
They're like, we want you to give your phone back. And they're like, no, I don't.
I don't know anybody crazy enough to want to buy these. Considering I don't personally, if it was me, I'm not in the market for a new phone. I just got one, and yes, I have an iPhone. I'm not hoity-toity about it. I just have one, and it's a very fine phone. It works for me. But I would not trust Samsung after that. Like, I can't think of anybody who would want to buy their phone. When you said that people would want to return them, why wouldn't you return that? That shit could potentially kill you.
It was a really good phone. Some people just refused. They're like, I'm not going to get anything better than this.
That's dumb. See, that's just to me that freaking current culture is just stupid and focused on smartphone technology. That you'll sacrifice third-degree burns. Because I think there was a story. Somebody got third-degree burns over one of these. How have they not? Is there not a lawsuit? Please tell me there's a lot.
Oh, there's probably multiple. I'm sure they just settled them.
Okay. Because, like, if something happened... Because I don't want anybody to get hurt with this, but I swear to God, something will happen. I don't trust Samsung that these are fixed. I'm pretty sure one of these phones... There's a good chance that one of these phones, something's going to happen in lawsuit, and then that's going to be in the Samsung. Like, this is such...
If it happens again,
dumbest
for sure.
move they could do. Yeah. This is so dumb.
Yeah, it is. And it's unnecessary. They're talking about putting out the Galaxy Note 8, like, completely fixed, like with modern specs and everything. Probably like this fall or winter. That's their normal launch. Like, the Note 7 came out last August, so it'd probably be sometime like August or September. Like, why would they release this now? Just as a budget option to make back some of the money they lost, but like sacrifice all faith that like former fans might still have in them in the process. It's just it's bad.
Well, I mean, going. Iggy mentioned something that I thought I should point out. Samsung makes pretty much the entire iPhone, so it's you have a Samsung product technically. It's all made with in their facilities, and it's made using their
it's true.
OLEDs screens, their OLED screens, their DRAM. Like, it's pretty much all. It's a Samsung phone that's like Apple. So, I mean,
they don't make everything in it, but they make a good.
You kind of buying Samsung when you buy Apple by association in a way.
It's true.
So, just wanted to point that out there.
The Jumanji trailer was released, and it doesn't. We've got some words about this. It doesn't look terrible. It doesn't necessarily look good, but it doesn't look terrible. But I personally don't understand why it needs to be a Jumanji movie. Like, if they had just made this an original property, maybe it wouldn't have done well. It wouldn't have gotten the
That's
publicity,
exactly why.
But it also kind of hurts that it's Jumanji. Like, this could very well be its own thing, and it would probably be better off for it. But shoehorning the Jumanji stuff into it is probably going to hurt the original movie, which, to be fair, wasn't an amazing, piece of cinema, but is well regarded and doesn't need to be tainted.
I mean, it's not going to be tainted. It's not going to be. That's like saying Superman 78 is tainted because of Man of Steel, when that's not true at all.
No, those don't tie together. That's the difference. These do.
Because the name?
I think a few weeks ago. It's actually going to tie, like, there's going to be elements of the original in this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, going off the trailer, like, and I realize that, but going off the trailer, there's no indication of that. So it's like, even if it does connect, right, it's still not going to ruin what the original film.
I think it just is like it's disgraceful, kind of. I think is what the problem. Like, I think that's the best way to word what everyone keeps saying is like, oh, it's going to ruin the original or whatever. I think that what they're saying is it's just disgraceful to the name. Like, it's this iconic thing. It's got Robin Williams in it. He died in everything. So people, it's kind of got this thing behind it. So then they just took that piece of work and then they're just slapping it on there to make money. And that's, I think, what people are upset about.
And Robin Williams has been in a lot of things, and all respect to him, he's dead, but that he passed away and everything. But it's like, like, I loved Jumanji as a kid. It was a great movie, but it's not the greatest movie of all time. It's just people are getting their nostalgia up in their nostalgia wedges up all together, and that's where they're mad. I mean, could it have been called something else? Absolutely, you're right. Zero. It could have been called something else, and it would have had The Rock. It would have had, what's the comedian's name? Not Jack Black, Kevin Hart, and it would have been fine. You're right, absolutely. But calling it Jumanji peaks and probably will peak enough interest in mid 20 to 40-year-olds who remember seeing it in the mid-90s. Like, hey, I saw that movie. Let's go see what this is. They may not be as invested with it as other people were. I don't think no matter what this movie does, it'll ruin the original. To me, it looks fun, and at the end of the day, that's all I ask for my movie. Sometimes is just be fun.
Yeah.
If just be fun, and this movie looks fun. It has The Rock. It has not Kevin Black.
Hart.
I was combining the two.
Kevin Hart and Jack
Kevin
Black.
Hart and who I'm not a big fan of, but he looks fine in this. And Jack Black, who I love Jack Black.
And
I know
Karen Gillian.
that's not a very popular.
Zero. Make sure you take all of this out of context. Zero. All of it out of context.
Yeah, I don't really know who she is. I know she's Nebula in the Guardians movies, but I don't really know who she is outside of that. Yeah, like it looks dumb and stupid, just like the original Jumanji. Jumanji was dumb and stupid.
Well, I mostly mean like it doesn't need to be tied to the Jumanji name because of the concept. Like, if they are tying this into the original, how does a board game get turned into a video game?
Which,
and,
by the way,
they're in that world, which in the original the world was brought to them. So it's like there's no logical tie to those things.
Holding it.
Or I don't think about it and I just enjoy the movie and eat my popcorn and shut the hell up. That's what I do. Just be much happier.
Well, so there's three things. Okay, or I think three, maybe, I don't know, it could be more. Anyways, so here's the first thing. You said that the world came to them. Yes, but Alan Parrish got sucked into the Jumanji world and he lived there, so that they could still get sucked into it. Remember, because he got pulled out of it.
True.
So
I guess that's a good fact.
That was one. Two, if you look in the trailer, and this is just one of those little nitpicky things. Iggy, I don't know if you know what I do, but I analyze things and I do a lot of research stuff. So like my eyes like go to the things that are like inconsistent and stuff. So they have this weird Atari looking thing that has like PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 graphics on it that they're using different controllers. Some of them look like Sega Genesis controllers. Mm-hmm. What the fuck? Like
that's the dumbest thing. Like they have it on this old TV and they didn't even make it all look old. That's my biggest pet peeve in things. It's like when you don't like age whatever you're stupid. Making.
But also, yes, to your credit and to your point, it just makes no sense how the board game just turned into a Atari Genesis PlayStation. That's just and I mean, no, that's if you just turn your brain off and watch it as a fun movie, that's fine. Like I'm okay. Like I'm not saying this movie is gonna ruin the first or whatever. I'm like on the side of I'm with Iggy on that. Like it's a dumb fun movie. I'll probably enjoy it because it's got action. It's gonna have humor, and Jack Black is it plays a chick, but he still looks like Jack Black. I think that's hilarious. Yeah. Like I never would have thought that. That's just a really funny idea. I'll have fun with it. My problems, and it doesn't ruin the film for me at all, is just those things that I said, the weird inconsistencies, and the fact that they're just slapping on the name for the sake of making money off of it. And that, again, doesn't matter. Everyone does it. It's the 2017 or whatever. So I mean, live and let live.
I mean, it's been happening since for the longest time. That's what media is built upon: is making things, milking properties to get more money out.
Sounds like my topic.
We look at Disney with Star Wars.
I have two quick notes before we move on. One, I'm looking at this controller here, and it just doesn't have enough buttons to do the kind of things they'd want to do. It has like I think it's an analog stick, and then like what looks like 4 face buttons, and that's it. Like that's the whole controller. It's really empty.
I was expecting you to say it's a black square. It's got no buttons.
No, it's the
they're using props. I can't believe that made the cut.
But also, I think part of what bothers me about that it's a video game now and that they're in the world is that it's going to feel like there's no stakes. Because like they show Jack Black getting eaten by a hippopotamus, but obviously he's in the movie later. Like they're not going to write him out because that's way earlier than some of the stuff that happens later. And like they show like Karen Gillian's character like doing this huge leap and like kicking someone off a motorcycle and stuff. Like basically they're going to have superpowers and be like essentially invincible. Unless they have a certain number of lives, which could add some, sense of urgency to it, because they can only die so many times before they're like, I don't know, if you die in the game, you die in real life type thing. Like, how do it's
Yeah.
They'll probably get a certain number of lives.
Yeah, I think that's what they'll do because
Then you just
they
kick
have
out,
to have a moment where they're like, "Oh my god, I only have one life," and that like drives the tension up. And
I can see that being like where
have
they're
to
just
have something.
super frivolous in the beginning, and they're like, I don't care, I can die as much as I want. And they're like, oh crap, like we have a lives pool, and they start being really cautious, and that kind of ramps up the stakes at the end. But it's just that idea of like they have superpowers, and it's like it's gonna be played up too much.
Well, to that, usually whenever there's like superpower kind of stuff, and again, this is me speculating, and no, I'm not building hype or anything, Iggy, so calm down. From the trailer, they said they have like these abilities or whatever, but generally in games or in anything, for every like superpower you have, there's like an opposite thing. So they probably have weaknesses that could be exploited too, or something to that extent, because if they were just like gods, essentially, it would be a fun movie, but it would probably get kind of old, and I don't think they're that dumb to do that. I'd like to think that, but...
Yeah.
Because there's always that, like every movie kind of follows the same like arc, and if there's not a point where they have weakness, then it breaks that arc, and it doesn't make sense too much. So
that's true.
Hopefully they do have something like that, because it would be kind of ridiculous to see. Yeah, it'd be kind of funny actually.
I mean, it will be fun. See, like it's that fish out of water element with like the the nerdy kid and the Rock's body, and like the tall guy and the short guy's body, and the ditzy like popular girl and the fat guy's body, like that whole playing with stereotypes thing is gonna be fun, and I'm sure they'll all come to some conclusion of like it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside, it's what inside that counts, and they'll bond like detention Breakfast Club. I was gonna say detention movie.
Have you seen this movie already? I feel like you've seen this already.
I mean, it's very like it's very paint by numbers. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
But it'll be fun. There's some fun jokes even in the trailer, like the where's the top 2 feet on my body, and the I can't go in the water with a backpack, like that kind of stuff.
No one ever goes in the water with a backpack. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, but it looks so formulaic.
They're all doing the one thing that they're all known for really, really well, and that's fine. I know what I'm getting.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's a fun movie, and that's the point of movies. Like, I don't like when people overanalyze movies like that and go, "Oh, the story and this." I know we kind of did it, but that's just because they're very blatant inconsistencies. Like, come on. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to sit there and go watch this movie and be like, I did not. There was no plot twist. I did not enjoy.
It was pish posh.
The cookie cutter placement of everything that's there. This had nothing for me. I didn't. No, it's a fun movie, and that's what I'm there to see.
Yeah, I mean, we had a topic a few weeks ago, like actually a month or more ago, with Jake about like the expectations in movies, and how like you need to just like there isn't necessarily bad movies. There's just like different kinds of movies that you need to go in with different sets of expectations. Mm-hmm. Like you're not going to go into the Transformers movies with like some high art, critique mind.
You watch that to see a bunch of complex movies get torn, or robots get torn to pieces. That's what I go to see those movies for. I just want to see robots fight.
So like this is going to be dumb fun.
Is the highest quality of art you can get.
It is. I've read it's actually already written in the history books in the future. I've been there.
I maintain the first Transformers movie is still the best one. It's not a great movie, but it's a damn good Transformers movie.
I don't think anyone would argue with you on that.
I know people will. I've met them.
Well, people will argue about anything. It's the internet. But
yes,
still. Let's move on to another trailer.
Different. You're wrong.
We've got. Oops. Forgot to mute it. We've got the Inhumans trailer here.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Which looks less good.
I've come to talk to you again.
But, I mean, the problem I have with this isn't necessarily that it looks bad, because it does. But it's that it looks bad and it's going to be on IMAX. Like, you can't hide flaws. I think we said that like with the poster. And this looks like a decent ABC budget, but it's going to be on IMAX. So, like, probably all of their budget went towards the IMAX cameras and Lockjaw. So they had nothing left to actually make a compelling show out of.
And Lockjaw doesn't even look that great.
No, he looks pretty CG.
I thought the CG
it's the showrunner of Iron Fist,
kinda...
so oof. Yeah.
My problem with this is, and I'm not a big fan of the Inhumans. I haven't been a fan of what Marvel has been trying to shoehorn the Inhumans, because we can't use the X-Men, so we'll make the Inhumans the tortured race of the Marvel universe, because that'll work. But even before that, I've always appreciated the humans for being part of the Marvel universe. They're one of the things that Jack Kirby created. They were one of his favorites, and it's just 100. If he was alive, he would have been 100 years old today. And what pisses me off so much about this is that the Inhumans. If you ever go Google the Inhumans, right? Not Marvel Cinematic Inhumans, just go Google Inhumans, comic Inhumans, Jack Kirby Inhumans, something like that. And the Inhumans, yeah, you had your humanoids like Black Bolt or Black Bolt gone, and the Medusa and Crystal, but like Trident and all these other characters, they all looked different. They all looked like aliens or experimented on people. They all had their own unique design that told their story. And then you look at this crap, because that's what it is. This is crap. This is crap on a camera level. This is crap on a set level. This is crap on a character level. That they all are just humans. That's it, and that has to do with all the budget.
And Lockjaw.
That's like Lockjaw's the only thing exotic. He doesn't even have the little fork thing, the little spoon fork thing on his head. Like, couldn't you just put it there?
He has a glowing V.
No. That's such a cop out. Anyways, my point is that I'm not even an Inhumans fan. It's the same thing with Iron Fist. It's just like. I guarantee they had enough budget for a makeup department, right? To put some kind of exoticness to the film. It looks so humanoid. You know what it looks like? It looks like them trying to do the X-Men, but in space. Yeah. That's exactly what this looks like. It looks like Bryan Singer's X-Men, but with a lesser budget and horrible actors. And I said this on my Marvel podcast. I'm going to say this again for Black Bolt's actor. Now, Black Bolt's, if you don't know, Black Bolt's a character who can't speak. If he speaks, he will destroy a mountain. He whispers, he will blow down a mountain. That's how powerful he is, right? The actor, and I've always wondered, how would an actor convey that, right? Because you need someone with subtlety. You need somebody who can act through body language and through facial expressions. The guy playing Black Bolt, who I'm going to sound very disrespectful, but fuck it, because it was that bad, and it could be the showrunner, it could be the director. He looks like he was constipated the entire time. Like, he did not look like... He looked like he was struggling to go to the bathroom versus trying to struggle to speak and maintain his power.
Well, how else would you kind of like portray that on screen though? Like, that's kind of what it looks like.
Subtlety.
It's
not subtle. It's exactly a lot of what Black Bolt's acting in comics, and again, it's different from a drawing versus human acting. A lot of I can tell Black Bolt as a non-speaking character, whenever you didn't have a telepath there, was through his body expressions or his facial expressions or how he moved his eyes. That's how you could tell what he was thinking, and you could always tell what he was thinking on the page. On film, that should be no exception. You just need a talented actor or a talented director to tell this actor, this is what you need to do. And it's not subtle at all. Again, he looks constipated. He just looks worried all the time. And, you know, the only thing I liked about this trailer was Maximus the Mad. That's it. And even then, he feels like a watered down version of Loki. That's about it. You know, nothing. And again, and what's worse is that this was supposed to be an MCU film. And I can't help but think that, and this is the only reason the MCU film, because of the pissing contest between Marvel Television and Marvel Studios, this could have been an MCU film with the budget in MCU film. And seeing this just makes me wish we would have gotten that Inhumans movie, even if it was years later, because it would have had the budget, it would have had the director, the actors, everything, and it would have made Jack Kirby's legacy proud. Instead, Inhumans fans are treated to this garbage because Marvel had to do something. So this is, and the fact that we're only getting a trailer now when the damn thing premieres in 2 months, that shows no faith to me in this show at all.
I didn't hear about it until probably like last week.
It's not surprising. They haven't said much about it.
Yeah.
There were some individual shots in this that looked nice. Like, it could possibly be this is just a really poorly cut trailer that just doesn't show off the show well, because ABC and really Marvel in general has been kind of known to do that. But visually, like, the shot composition and stuff like that doesn't look great. Like, so there's a few kind of like sweet, there's one where like a guy is walking across a plain and there's like mountains in front of him, and it kind of like sweeps up a little bit over him. Like, that looked nice. There's like the shot with the mad guy, what's his name?
Maximus
is like walking through a tunnel, and there's like some kind of light like glares behind him, and that looks kind of nice. But for the most part, it looks very like budget, very boring. very film school almost. Like
it reminded me when I watched that. It reminded me a lot of like the Divergent or whatever series. It kind of reminded me of how that looked, and that's not a compliment.
No. Yeah, it's disappointing, but we'll see. I don't know. I don't have an IMAX near me, so I wouldn't go see it in IMAX anyway. But I feel like that hurt them. Like, sure, it's a cool thing to say that you did, but if you spend all your money on that, what's the point? So, we'll see. Also, I don't know how much Lockjaw will get, because it looks like he's very CG, and that makes me sad, because he's like the coolest thing. Yeah,
he's one of the best part of the Inhumans. Just this big puppy dog, just follow him around.
Yeah.
Teleports.
But he's a bit of a Deus Ex Machina, too, because if they're stranded on Earth, like, if that's the point, because, like, you know, it showed him being transported in by Lockjaw, then, like, he could be transported out at a moment's notice. Like, there's no threat there.
Lockjaw. Yeah, but it's Lockjaw. Like, Lockjaw's great.
I know, I'm just saying, like, he might be too overpowered, like, they might not be able to rely on him all the time, because he could just teleport them out of danger at any time.
Yeah, they'll find some way to write him out of the show.
Yeah, I guarantee it.
Just like they do with Nightcrawler, whenever like they think, oh, just have Nightcrawler tell them out, and then knock him out or something.
Mm-hmm. Or it's, I can't see what's on the other side. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's true. Like, yeah, that's a thing.
That's their go-to.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna move on.
The thing that.
Oh, sorry.
One last thing. I was just gonna say that if you've never watched Hell on Wheels, I thought it was a pretty good show. But Anson Mount is the main character in that, and he's the Black Bolt.
Yeah.
To say that right, I'm not familiar with this series, so Black Bolt. Okay,
Black Boltagon.
It kind of just, I don't know. He's a really good actor, I think, and it just kind of sucks that his strength comes from like the passion that he has in his voice, because in that show, like he doesn't have to say much at all, but like when he does say it, you're like, good for you, man. That I felt that, you know. So it just kind of sucks that he's playing. I feel like that character is not made for him, and it just kind of doesn't do him justice. So it's kind of a unfortunate position he's in.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about something real quick. We're kind of running along, but I just thought this was really funny. Hannibal Buress pays a lookalike to attend the Spider-Man Homecoming premiere for him.
That's hilarious.
Apparently,
I don't even know who this guy is, and that's hilarious.
You don't know who?
I wish I was
Buress
that
is?
rich.
Mm-mm.
He's like a famous actor, stand-up guy. He's actually he's a major dick. Like, he's not a good person, but he's funny.
Apparently.
Well, then I'm glad
the guy that pays off another person to go is not a nice guy. Get out of here.
Right, exactly. No, he's
too busy to go to a premiere.
He doesn't care. Like, he's not concerned with what people think about him or like what he does or anything. But anyway, I just find it funny. Like, he was publicly tweeting about this. He literally put out something that said, "I need a lookalike with solid comedic timing for an event tonight. Pays $500. Email pics to this email address."
Only $500?
I thought that was kind of low too.
Yeah. It's not that bad.
Yeah, but
that's a big shoe to fill.
Yeah. Like, come on.
He needs his money for weed.
He's a...
Also, that was some incredibly high stakes. What if that guy went out there and completely tarnished his name? Like,
right? He had no idea. But then later, like at when the premiere was happening, he tweeted out again saying that he's out at the Spider-Man premiere. And that it's in theaters July 8th, which is the wrong date. It's July. He said, and then he put out another one saying, actually July 7th, but also July 8th too. Which, classy cover.
I mean, he's not wrong.
But he tweets out a picture like that someone else took of like him, I guess, at an interview or whatever. And it's actually the lookalike guy. So he like took this picture from someone and posted it as if he was there. And then
I bet you he like threatened his family or something. There's no way that like a regular person would be able to do that.
Here's the thing. Later, after the premiere, the lookalike guy put a picture on his Instagram of like basically a selfie of the premiere that says, "Just crashed the red carpet as Hannibal Buress." Apparently he's an actor, like or self-proclaimed actor, I guess. Probably, little indies and random stuff like that. Commercials, probably, that kind of thing. But he does look a lot like Hannibal Buress. It's kind of creepy.
He does. Yeah.
But, yeah, so, like, he probably wanted the exposure. He thought it was fun.
Yeah.
It's not every day you get to go to the
that was a win
premiere.
for him, too. Yeah.
But
there's a lookalike of you somewhere, Zero.
There's a lookalike of me everywhere. We count them when we go out in public. I just have one of those faces, I guess. But yeah, I just thought this was really dumb and funny, and I wanted to share it. It's not really news, but it's just one of those things you have to talk about. But yeah, Hannibal Buress is ridiculous.
I'm gonna do it when the self-proclaimed marvelous one becomes the actual marvelous one. I'm just gonna have a stunt double.
I mean, nobody knows what you look like, so it'd be pretty easy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, when I become famous, people know what I look like, but like,
that's true.
Just like I'd rather. Why aren't you here? I want to play video games. It wouldn't be like a dicko reason like Hannibal Buress. I just want to play video games.
He didn't have a reason.
He didn't want to go.
He doesn't like public appearances. He has major anxiety and stuff.
Does he not realize he's an actor? Does he not realize he's an actor?
Some people don't care about the game. Like, they just want to do it.
That's like so weird.
They stay out of the limelight unless they have to.
You have to play to the public sometime though.
Yeah, you do.
Like, that's so weird. How does he get work? God, I want to be him.
He's
well,
funny.
See, the thing is once you're an actor or like once you're big at all, like work comes to you, so you really don't have to do much.
There's work. I've never heard of this guy until he joined Spider-Man. Like,
there's so many actors and actors. I never heard of them either. But
he hasn't had
they're
big
around.
roles. He's usually like kind of supporting like type stuff, and then of course his stand-up career. But like he was in Neighbors. He was a cop in that. He was on the Broad City show, like as one of their friends. He's apparently the the PE coach or whatever in Spider-Man. So like, he's just kind of there. Like,
yeah, he's talked about like he's a big deal when he's clearly not a big deal.
Well, he's a big deal in the comedy field.
Oh, okay.
Like, he's a big stand-up name, but you'd have to know that community.
I'll take your word for it. I used to know stand-up comedian, but I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I'm out of a lot of it. I see stuff on Netflix, and I'm like, I don't know who this is. Why does he have a special?
Why him, not me, is what Joe said internally.
Yeah, right.
Why him?
But yeah, final story to transition us into the final topic. The Jetsons is getting apparently a live-action TV series being produced by Robert Zemeckis, who did, Back to the Future, a bunch of other things. But yeah, it's weird that it's going to be live action, but I guess it's going to be set 100 years into our future, so 2118 by the time it comes out.
That's weird.
Which is quite a bit later than the original animated show, which was 2062. Granted, that was also 100 years in the future at the time.
Man.
Yeah, it's been a long time since that show was on, apparently.
I know. I'm just like, God, we're almost there. Like, it's nuts.
Yep.
But yeah, so there's not really much about it, just that it's coming. But I just thought that was such a weird choice. A live action Jetsons.
I'm surprised it actually hasn't been done sooner, considering. Well, I mean, I remember growing up watching Jetsons and the Flintstones. Granted, it was on the syndication by the time I was old enough I was young enough to watch it, but like, to me, Jetsons were just as popular as the Flintstones. Like, they were, I remember it was a big deal when they did that crossover movie between the two of them.
Yeah, but how well did that live action Flintstones movie go?
I mean, the first one did relatively well. The second one, Viva Rock Vegas, wasn't great because it didn't have John Goodman in it.
Yeah,
I like the first one. I thought.
As a kid, I even noticed the difference that John Goodman wasn't there, and I was
it was Mark Addy, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was completely different. I mean, why not? I mean, why not try it? I mean,
yeah.
I just wanted to reveal that George Jetson's gonna be the worst dad in animated history because he's legit. I think he's legitimately an awful dad. But I mean, it's fine. I'm surprised it took this long to do anything with the Jetsons in terms of live action.
Yeah, I feel like it's coming off the heels of Riverdale, like making Archie live action is like, oh, we can do that with more things.
Surprised I haven't tried that with the Flintstones again, considering the Flintstones is arguably still more popular than the Jetsons at this point. But I'd be down for a hot. Is it Jane or Judy? That was the
both.
Mom and the sister. Yeah, both.
It's
Yeah,
just like just make them both.
Hot versions of both of them. I mean,
make the robot hot too.
The dog.
I mean, they probably will.
Don't judge me.
What's her name? Fuck. What's the robot's name?
Doesn't it start with a B?
Vivi?
Betsy, probably. I don't know. Some like old person.
No.
Yeah, they'll probably make her like a curvy sexual robot or something like that. They probably
Sick.
will.
And they'll have like this like weird affair going on.
Give her attachments.
No, they'll give her they'll have the actress who played a Cylon in Battlestar Galactica play her. So it'll be like a humanoid. Rosie! It's Rosie.
Rosie.
That's her name.
I was close.
Thank you.
Betsy, Rosie, it's similar.
I mean, if you add another line to an R, it kind of looks like a B. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I just hope they confirm my theory that the reason why they live in the sky is because that we polluted the Earth so bad, so that's why we had to build buildings so high. I think that's the theory that's been going on for a while. I hope that that's how it shows up.
Yeah, what if they make it like a dark, like dystopian future thing?
That'd be great. I would watch that.
That's so funny.
I don't know. We live in a weird world.
It starts off like extremely dark, and then it just goes into regular jets, and you're like, "What the fuck was that?"
I mean, I'm down as long as it's good. I'm down. Like, I don't have a huge. I remember enjoying the cartoon when I was a kid, but I don't have a huge attachment. They changed it. Wasn't there a dog? There was a dog. Right?
Yeah,
Elroy.
Elroy was the kid. Astro was the dog.
Astro was the boy. Was the dog. God, I said I loved it. I clearly don't remember anything except for George Jetson being an asshole.
It's one of my favorite things. I love Frankie. Who's that?
But yeah, it's fine as long as it's good. That's all I ask for. As long as it's good.
That's all anyone can ask for.
All right. Well, that does transition us into the final topic.
Which is my topic.
Yes. Which you wanted to talk about reboots and, well, you said remasters, but that was kind of more in the game realm.
Reboots, remakes, remasters, sequels.
Yeah.
That whole
I kind of picture something
spiel.
like, the Star Wars remasters where like changed or added stuff that is controversial. That kind of thing probably fits in there too.
That would work in there too. Yeah. So I was kind of looking around and I noticed that there's not a lot of originality these days, especially in Hollywood.
Go see Baby Driver.
Well, I will. Please don't hurt me. So right now, just to give you some numbers here, right now there are 43 sequels, reboots, and remakes on Hollywood on schedule for 2017. Most of them have already happened since we're already halfway through the year. So 21 of them are in the third series or higher. Okay, just to give you an idea of how many sequels there are, and it's weird. And it's also weird that movies that are original kind of get put under the radar because these other already established ones kind of cover them up. Mm-hmm. And the thing is they're movies that, I mean, Transformers: The Last Night, for example, June 23rd. That's already happened. Yeah, sorry, I don't know what time I'm in. So, anyways, that overshadowed. Whatever, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm sure that overshadowed some kind of original film that actually was probably decent, even though everybody was complaining and did not really look forward to seeing it. Most people hate the Transformers movies from what I gather around the internet. And it just seems weird that a universally disliked movie can overshadow something that probably has a lot of merit and originality to it. And the things like Amityville, The Awakening, I don't want a movie about that. Who cares about the stupid doll? I mean, there's just all these movies. Despicable Me 3. I can go on and on for
Annabelle.
Yeah.
You said Amityville. I thought you were talking about a new Amityville horror movie.
No. It's maybe it is. I don't know. Shoot, is it Amityville? Whatever.
I think it's Annabelle.
It might be. Crap. Anyways, whatever. Annabelle, Amityville, whatever the case is, it's like, who cares? You know, like they're like, oh no, it's this expanded universe. We're gonna make it so expanded that it's just gonna go right inside of your butt and into your brain, and that's what they want, I guess. But I don't want that, and I feel like a lot of people really don't care that much about these things that aren't that big a deal. Annabelle, is Annabelle 2, August 11th. That's the one. I was actually the one I was correct in. It is an Amityville: The Awakening. Which I guess that's a remake, I guess.
But they already did.
It was going to be a reboot. It was going to be a reboot of the Amityville franchise done as a found footage movie like Blair Witch and stuff like that. But it's supposed to be sort of like a remake of it. And that's the thing. Like, come on, man. The original one was like in the 70s. You can't come up with anything.
I actually kind of liked the last Amityville they did in the early 2000s with Ryan Reynolds. It was well done.
Cool. But I mean, does it need more?
No.
Like, did you feel like at the end of it, you were like, I want more? Like, and no. And I think most people will agree with you on that. Insidious Chapter 4. Although I will say that Insidious was probably one of the more original horror films that I saw. Like the first one was actually kind of interesting.
Well, yeah, I thought all original ideas are good when they first come out.
That's because they're original.
Yeah,
that's the magic of it. That's the glory of it. And I mean, I could go on this whole list of all these different movies. Underworld Blood Wars, horrible movie. So stupid. I fell asleep. Did not like it. Didn't care for it. Although, Kate Beckinsale, I don't know what she does for her routine in the morning or whatever, but she hasn't looked like she's aged a day.
It's crazy.
And I don't think
she's
that
almost
was
50.
Right? So Rings, the sequel to The Ring 2. The sequel to The Ring 2? It's like they're making like this is The Ring 2 too. Like, come on. I don't understand it. And I know it's all about money, and it always boils down to that, and it's always going to be that way because it works. It's a proven method. People will constantly go cuz they're familiar with it. They know they know what to expect, and they know the world. They're comfortable, and people aren't willing to put what is it? How much does it cost to go to a movie these days? Like $14-15 or whatever.
If you get popcorn.
Tickets are costing that much.
Yeah. So with but I mean, come on, you go to the movies, you got to get the popcorn. I know you don't have to, but it's just kind of like
the afternoon, like Monday matinee of Baby Driver, and for both of us it was $12. Like, it's not bad at all.
Well, good, but try taking like your family there, and that's a whole other story.
True.
Because then you got the kid, and we're talking about like your average American family where you have. I'm just gonna say
your baby's
I don't
gonna
have
eat
no
so much
numbers
popcorn.
for this. No, but I'm talking about me. I'm talking about your average family, which it'd be 1, 2, and maybe 2 or 3 kids, possibly.
Stop
for the
procreating,
family.
America.
Okay. So and that gets really expensive really fast. So people don't want to put money into things that they're not really like sure about, and that's why it works. But what does this say about us about Hollywood or just people in general? I guess even you can go down to that. About creativity and just originality. Is originality dead? I mean, you see the same thing, and I'm just going to touch on it. I know you don't want to, but I mean, the Crash remaster just came out recently, and while I do think that it was actually really well done, was it necessary? Because that's going to start a whole string of other games to get remade, and that's just going to go, and it's going to cycle through from now until forever. I bet you in 60 years. They're going to make another Jetsons thing, and it's going to be set 100 years in the future, and the cycle just continues on and on and on. Are we at a stage where we've done everything that there is to do, and now we're just recycling old ideas? Or, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean...
Well, here's my thing. Like, there's times when it's okay, and there's times when it's not. Like, personally, I think that an original idea, 9 times out of 10, is better than anything, adapted. But there's also, like, there's a lot of properties out there that still haven't been adapted. I mean, my topic was about like, what's something you'd love to see brought to life, even if it has already been done in another form, like Harry Potter, or but
well, that I wouldn't really count that as a remaster or a sequel.
Well, no, I'm just saying
remake,
like there are like adaptations that would still be original ideas, but would probably get ignored because they're not something that everyone knows. Like Valerian. Right. Valerian, it was a graphic novel in like the 30s or something like that. It's super old. Like older than like Star Wars and, a lot of things that now it looks like. And they've got a really good movie about that coming. Well, it looks really good anyway. Coming out from that, like from the director of Fifth Element, which is another, original classic. And sure, it's an adaptation of something. But shut up. It's an adaptation of something, but it's an original idea. And it's something that's probably going to get left behind because it's coming out in the middle of the summer rush. It's not something that immediately stands out to people that don't know that it's based on something. And it looks like, I mean, what we now think of as, generic sci-fi story. Because it's a very similar storyline to Star Wars, because Star Wars was based on Valerian, among other things. So you get these issues of, like, whoever does it first is the original one, and then everything else that comes out looks like, a copy or a reboot or something like that.
I know that feeling all too well.
Yeah, I know you
I
do.
get compared to sequelitis a lot, and they're like, you copied, and I'm like, come on.
Yeah, so I think there's no original ideas anymore. Like, the only time it's a problem is when it's just like, sequel after sequel of the same thing that's not inspired anymore. Like, if you don't have a reason to make a sequel
of the
to something,
Furious, maybe?
Yeah, Fast and Furious is a good example. Or Transformers, like you said. If you don't have an original idea for something, like, why make it? Sure, it's money, but eventually the bubble's going to pop. And so, like, you can reboot something if you have a reason to do it. Like I said, I actually enjoyed the last Amityville Horror that came out. because the one that came out before was in like the 70s or whatever. They could do something totally new with it, with new technology and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily mind that. And if they did another Jetsons, show another 60 years, we could be in like holodecks by then. They could have an immersive, TV experience. Like,
tired of living your life? Live the Jetsons' life.
Yeah, exactly. So like, there's reasons to remake things, or whatever the case is, like new technology, like with Crash, like you said. Those games look beautiful at the time, and like they were revolutionary graphically on the PS1, but they haven't aged super well. And sure, they only made them look better. They didn't really make them play better, from what I heard. But there's reasons to remake things outside of that specifically, like the Shadow of the Colossus remaster. That looks like they're adding back some stuff that they had cut originally, and like fixing the weird control schemes and stuff like that to like make it the game that it should have been in the first place, but with better controls. So yeah, there's reasons to do this stuff. It's just when they do the shameless cash-ins, it makes everything else that actually has an inspired reason to remake itself, or make a sequel to it, look bad. I mean, we're getting the third Spider-Man reboot in 10 years, but they're doing something totally new with this one, so I'm fine with it.
Yet I'm not excited.
I'm not as excited as I was when they first announced it, but it's just because we've seen too much, not because I think it's a bad idea.
Overexposure, desensitization.
Yeah. So I want something. It doesn't have to be original, because I don't think there are original ideas anymore. It just has to be inspired. Have a reason to redo something. Okay,
I can get behind that, and I will agree with you. Not all of them are bad, but I'm just for what it's worth, there is way too many.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm getting. I mean, like, people were complaining that there's too many Pirates of the Caribbean movies, or Caribbean, or whatever you say it. I actually don't mind them, because I see them as fun Saturday morning cartoon kind of things. Like, you could keep making them forever, and I would be probably okay with it, because they just they're just fun. They're fantasy to an extent. I mean, that's how I look at it. And you never watched the 78th episode of Dexter's Laboratory and was like, they should stop at 13, or they should have stopped at 5 episodes. Like, no, you don't. And I know they're kind of different mediums, but at the same time, the way that they kind of carry the series, the Pirates of the Caribbean series, it doesn't really take itself that serious, where it would be like, oh, I'm tired of Jack Sparrow. I never really got tired of watching any TV show. I think I'm on, like, I watch with my wife, like the Criminal Minds. I think I'm on like the 11th season, and I still like enjoy each one of them with varying enjoyment, I guess. But, certain things I think can be adapted to that, and that's fine. But most things can't. They can't do that. And I feel like the Marvel movies, for example, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it is sort of kind of, if not already, fallen into that box with Pirates for me, where they could keep making cinematic universe movies, and even if they're bad, I'd still probably enjoy them, because I never sat there and overanalyzed the Spider-Man animated series or Batman, or it's just the medium's different, and we have that expectation of the medium to stop at a certain point, or to hold some sort of strange expectation that we make up in our heads. Hype, Iggy. But I'm personally, I'm okay with movies that have that kind of like vibe to them. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain types of movies, like action adventure movies, I guess, like Brendan Fraser Mummy. I would have been okay if they kept doing those for more movies or whatever, because they were fun.
They were just direct to DVD Scorpion King movies.
Those aren't Brendan Fraser.
No, but
but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's gotta have like the guy though. Like, if they can't get the guy, then I don't want to see it. I don't want to watch Viva Rock Vegas if it doesn't have John Goodman. But I mean, what do you think, Iggy? I mean, what are your thoughts on the whole reboot sequel and all that stuff?
Well, I'm weird in that I will always I'm not as desensitized with it. I'm the kind of person who will give a remake or reboot a chance, because say you got a film from the 70s, like, yeah, why do they make another one? Well, you want to make it for today's culture. You want to make it for a new generation. And this is coming from comics, where what they used to do is that every 5 to 10 years they would sort of reset everything and retell everything for a new generation, until comic fans stayed and the audience didn't change. But they would sort of adapted for that new particular set of people. And I feel like that's what they're doing now, where like a movie, because like my dad thankfully introduced me to films from the 70s and the 80s, and I was able to love them versus, you show there's a good chunk of kids who, if you show them RoboCop from, was that 91 or 92, they're not going to get the same reaction. But if you show them the 2014 RoboCop, that's going to be their RoboCop, and they're going to enjoy, they're going to love it. And personally, I thought, despite thumbs down for the live stream, I thought the 2014 RoboCop was a decent film. Was it the original? Hell no, it wasn't. But I thought it was a perfectly fine film, and it did what it needed to do. I'm not against them. I only hate a movie when it's bad and when I'm bored or when I'm legit thinking about other things during a movie. Teenage Mutant Turtles reboot is another example. Or like, I adored the original 3 Teenage Mutant Turtle movies when I was younger, but I genuinely thought that the previous 2, despite that he not directed, Michael Bay produced Turtles movies, were fun and entertaining.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm not against it unless it's bad. That's the only time when I'm against it, and I just tell people, just watch the original. Unless it's Tron, then it's trash on both accords. But and with the Marvel films, it's like sequel after sequel after sequel. Like, to me, I'm living in the golden age of that. Like, as a comic book fan, like, you have to understand from a comic book fan standpoint, like, for the longest time, all you got was Superman and Batman. That's all you got. And as a fan of some of these characters, to see them get movies and to see them come to life in a, whether you like it or not, the Marvel movies are all sequels of each other. Mm-hmm. Iron Man 3 is a sequel to the Avengers, and so on and so forth. To see these storylines being brought to life is a dream come true for me. Same thing for the DC Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna not enjoy that because it's not original. Like, it's original to me. It's like there's a joy to see something come to life, and there's a joy of seeing what a filmmaker can take of something that pre-existed and morph it to a new audience. It may not, and I think people need to go in expectation with that. It's not going to be the same thing you remember. Like, RoboCop's the best example. It's like, it was never going to be that, it was never going to be RoboCop from 1991. It was never going to be that, or 87. I don't remember what year RoboCop came out. It was the late 80s, early 90s movie. But it was the 2014 reboot was never going to be that, but it had its own, it took what was RoboCop, that initial concept, and it made it its own. And it was a fine film. Not the greatest thing ever, but it was fine. And I think in the day, that's okay. Like, not everything, not every reboot, not every original idea needs to be this groundbreaking thing. Sometimes the thing is just okay. Just like me and my status as a YouTuber. But anyways, have to get into self-deprecation at least once per show.
It's true.
But, that's my stance. Is that I'm okay with reboots. I don't think it ruins the original. I don't think it's enough. Like, it got ridiculous with the Friday the 13th and the Nightmare on Elm Street films. I think that's the peak sort of, okay, how many times is Freddy gonna die? Like, I think that's the only time I've been like, okay, this is kind of ridiculous. And I think Saw is the only point where I've gotten to that point in terms of modern films, but a lot of them are like, they get like 2 shots and then they're out. Like, very rarely do you see franchises last that long as, say, those 2 horror franchises, from the 70s and the 80s. But, that's me. I'm always willing to give it a shot. I gave the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot a shot, and I genuinely thought that was a good movie. The Friday the 13th reboot that came out in 2009, I genuinely thought that was a fun Friday the 13th movie. Was it better than the previous ones? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I genuinely thought it was a good movie. Just make a good movie, even if it's something I've seen before. If you do something different enough or give me the same sort of thrill, then I'm satisfied, and my time at the theater has been made worth it. I'm rambling now.
Yeah, a little bit. About 5 minutes ago, you were rambling.
I agree to most of the points. My thing is, I think, and this is just our difference in movie viewing, is, and we'll go back to RoboCop for this. Since I already experienced the other one, which I view it as the superior one, my watching of the reboot was kind of like going from eating a fancy schmancy, really nice, put together dinner to having like a snack. And I can't really compare the two because they're 2 different things. But one's claiming to be the fancy schmancy dinner by name and by what it represented, which was a reboot of RoboCop, and that's what it was. So it's kind of like trying to pass off like a mac and cheese craft bowl as like fancy schmancy homemade mac and cheese. It's all nice and gooey cheese and all that stuff. And that's what I kind of how I see it. So the reason why I give my thumbs down to that movie is because I've already experienced the fancy schmancy homemade mac and cheese, and what they served me was this Kraft macaroni microwavable bowl. And that's sort of my take on that kind of thing.
Yeah, but microwavable macaroni and cheese is also still pretty tasty.
I know, but I mean, homemade, just can't beat it.
No, you made some good points about like, you know, the audience that something is for, and I think that's kind of key in a lot of this stuff. Like when it comes down to it, a good movie like will do, you know, maybe $500 million in sales. There's like 6 billion people in this world or something like that. I don't even know right now. That's a lot of people. And so obviously there's no single movie that's going to be for everyone. So they're making these things for their audience. Like if you look at, you know, like you said, the RoboCop, which I haven't seen either version, so I don't really care either way. But like that new version wasn't for the people that watched it before necessarily. It's for a new generation that, like, you know, their parents are like, oh, like I used to love RoboCop. Like you should check this out. You know, they might watch it.
I guess
you can always bank on nostalgia, but that's good for money. That's not necessarily good for reviews. It's getting the word out there about it.
Yeah.
Or it could be a chance to, you know, fix something from before for a popular franchise, like Dredd. Like the new Dredd was amazing. Old Dredd, not so much.
Hey, hey! I will punch you through the screen and just scream, "I am the law" for 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, wasn't good.
I think that's bias right there. Like
no, because the only bad part of that movie is what's his face, Rob Schneider. Everything else about that movie is perfectly fine.
Are you thinking of Demolition Man?
Is the only bad part. Who, Wesley Snipes?
That's Demolition Man.
No, Rob Schneider's in Dredd. That's the worst part of Dredd.
What? He's
Everything
in
else
Demolition
about
Man.
that movie is fantastic. Right, he's in both.
What? Oh. Yeah.
Rob Schneider is in both, but he's the worst part of Dredd. He's the one that when people bring up Dredd, that's what people hate. Dredd, the Judge, yeah,
they dreaded his performance.
Dumb action. I mean, Judge Dredd is what is a typical Sylvester Stallone movie in the '90s. Dumb action. The worst part of it is Rob Schneider.
I think we're just judging it a little too hard, Zero.
Dead jokes. No, you making my point for me though. Like, there's an audience for everything. We've said that before, and so these movies don't have to cater to everyone. I mean, you can make, you know, Transformers 5, 6, 7. They're going to. You can make Fast and the Furious 9, 10, 11. They're going to.
Oh, they will. They will.
Like, they're not for everyone. If they hit, you know, 5 million people, which is a good amount of money still, not necessarily for these budgets, but, you know, that's a good amount of people, they're satisfied. And the masses don't care about critics. That's us that actually analyze movies and, like, think about, you know, the merit of certain things.
They care about their brain cells.
Yeah.
I mean, Batman Superman's the ultimate example of that.
Oh my god. We're the kind of people that, like, you know, come up with their own TV show ideas. Like, the masses just want to be entertained. Like you said, you know, you can go in and have dumb fun with Jumanji, and it's fine. Like, nobody cares. You have the mindset of, this is going to be dumb fun that I can take my family to. There's movies for that. And that's where the reboots and, you know, unoriginal ideas are going to come from, because they're a quick buck. You know, the script is already written because it's in book form or was already made once, things like that. They bring in a relatively inspired director or start the career of someone new. And then, you know, everyone benefits because that director got a project that was easy and cheap. And they can pad their resume to go do a Marvel movie or something next. And, you know, the studios benefit because it's a quick buck for them. Look at, like, what is it, Asylum, I think, that does all those crappy horror movies that are literal, like, cash-ins and sequels, and they're the ones that do, like, the you know, Annabelle and things like that. I think they've got a new Saw movie coming out this fall, actually, even though it's after the final chapter, but, you know, that's none of my business.
The epilogue.
Yeah.
And
so,
that's
like, that stuff's,
for
like,
you.
not going to go away, but there's also, like, the high art for people that care about it. And that's what you're going to have to seek out. That's the, you know, the Baby Drivers, sorry, I can't get off Baby Driver. It's really good. The Arrivals, the Moonlights, the La La Lands. Like, the ones that are only going to get the word out about them, like the original ideas that are only going to get the word about them from word of mouth and, you know, critics and things like that. Or the Academy Awards, and then people go back and they're like, that's on Blu-ray, right? Or that's on Netflix, right? Like, I'm going to go watch that now. But there'll be the Disney remakes, the live action Lion King for whatever reason, the countless sequels and remakes.
That, I think, could do better than Beauty and the Beast did. I was really disappointed with Beauty and the Beast.
You can't... We need to get off this
topic. It's because they...
But seriously, you can't make a live-action Lion King. It's going to be CG against real backdrops.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess, yeah. That's what I was thinking. I didn't put the translation properly, but yeah. I get what you're saying. It's going to be CG, but...
It's dumb. Why?
But still.
Like, Beauty and the Beast, at least, like, there were real people acting with, you know, dishes and things like that. Like...
I don't know. I thought Emma Watson was a robot that entire time.
I liked her. Her singing voice wasn't the best, but I always have a soft spot for Hermione.
That's the problem with her. She is Hermione. She grew up as Hermione. She could never escape it. So
Daniel
it's kind of like her fault.
And Rupert Grint have escaped it. They've done some pretty good stuff outside of Harry Potter.
They're also better actors.
Well.
Ouch.
All right, I'll give you that one.
Okay.
Also,
I was like,
it's hard to beat a animated Belle with it's like who exudes so much more personality in voice and animation.
They could have at least got somebody who can sing. Like the autotune was just
it was noticeable.
Horribly noticeable.
But like that's another example of like it didn't necessarily need to be remade, but I thought they did some original stuff with it. I mean, they added in like a better amount of depth between her and her dad. They gave Belle more depth in general. She was always just kind of like they gave her no personality, and she basically served.
But at what cost? Zero.
Well, in a better actor's hands, like that would have been the role of a lifetime. She just didn't do it properly. But like the script gave her a lot more to do. She wasn't just a bestiality playmate. And like,
or was she?
And like you understood, like you saw more of their relationship together. Like they basically added more depth to the characters. There was a reason for it to exist.
Yeah.
Same with the Jungle Book remake. Like they added new things to that. They took a new tone with it. Things like that. You don't need a live action Lion King. What even is that?
You gotta watch. You gotta watch Mufasa die in HD.
There's a Diamond Edition Blu-ray.
You gotta watch him in 4K with every single little hair swaying in the wind as his lifeless body gets nudged by his son.
Like I've said before, I'm excited about the cast for that. Like Donald Glover will be a good Simba, but I can't accept that movie, no matter how good of a picture you're painting of it.
If you call that a good picture, that's most people's nightmares for Disney fans, I'm sure. They're like,
oh, I could watch Mufasa die all day.
That was the saddest part of the movie.
I'd kill myself if I had a chance.
Are we having some like innate psychological things coming out in this? Are you okay, Zero? Is everything all right?
We're all learning things about ourselves. Don't worry about it. Yeah, is that all? We're going so long.
It's okay.
This is your topic. Is that all?
It was okay. This is my first time being here. Oh, yeah. I felt like it kind of died down. I thought it was like the natural flow of things. So
I was just making sure before I ended it.
Oh, no, it's good. It's good. We're all good.
Okay, cool. Well, then plug your crap.
Oh, me?
Yes. You're the guest.
So yeah, if you guys made it through the end, yes. But I am VG Elucidator on YouTube. I also am on Twitter. It doesn't look like I do things on YouTube that often because it takes a long time to make my videos. They're research-based, very analytical, a lot of history and culture. I analyze parts of video games and figure out what their inspiration was, historical or cultural or a combination of it. Usually it's both. A lot of cool, interesting things that you may not have known about different countries. It's overall just like a fun learning thing, but it's also funny to some extent. I put in some jokes and stuff in there. As much as I hate to say it, I was inspired a lot by Egoraptor, so kind of expect something similar in visual style to that, so that way you kind of know what to expect if you come by. I also am Locke in Zero's Final Fantasy VI story play, which is fantastic, and everyone should watch it and read it and watch it at the same time and listen, because that's the whole point of doing voice acting to a non-voice acted game.
Enrich the visuals, yes.
Yes, and he very good job with the visuals, actually. I still imagine myself walking into that room when I see Celeste chained up. Anyways,
out of context, that sounds so bad.
Yeah, but
I was gonna say
I need to
spoilers,
start
but that'll be up by the time this goes up. So
I thought that was already.
that's episode 4, bro.
Ah! No, I'm just kidding. I did not actually. I didn't even think about that because I already saw the footage for it because I did
Right.
the thing. So I already thought it was out. Ah, dang it. Oh well. Anyways,
People are gonna think you're talking about 50 Shades of Grey at that point.
Hey, 50 Shades of Celeste. Cool. She was decent looking.
She probably had those lady gains from being a soldier.
Oh yeah.
Buff in all the right
bench,
places.
she could probably like
I need to
bench
stop
press
talking.
lock.
Bench lock your crap.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I got, guys. So yeah, follow me on Twitter and check me out on YouTube.
Follow me at twitter.com/marvelousiggy, and I'm proud to announce that I've actually returned to the world of Let's Plays. I finished recording Mega Man X2. The penultimate episode and the finale episode will be up by the time this goes live to the public, and even for Patreon users. Because when does this go live to Patreon? Friday?
Yep.
Patreon users, and if you listen to Patreon, the videos are probably both of them up, depending on what time you listen to them. If it's up to 12 o'clock, they'll be ready. But if not, I'm back. I'm officially back, and I've already planning my next LP. Won't release it until I'm good way done. I want to say 90% done, so that way I can have a good time in between. But yeah, and then follow me, and of course I'm part of Zero's Final Fantasy Story Play. I play nobody important, but you should watch it.
You
anyways.
play General Leo. He's pretty friggin' important. He gets a hero's death.
I'm playing down my role.
He's also introduced this week.
So I'm playing down my role for the importance of the story because I'm just a bit player. Anyways, go watch it. It's really well done. I've been watching the first 2 episodes. It's really well done. All the entire cast is great. I just play by the time this comes out is my scene with Kefka, the first scene with Kefka, correct?
Yeah.
Watch me get slaughtered with Kefka in terms of voice acting.
There's supposed to be a difference there, though.
I did okay.
Right. But go watch it. Zero's put a lot of hard work into it, and it's a pleasure working for him. And that's all I got from me. Twitter.com/marvelousiggy. Hashtag
I feel like opinions. I've already been thoroughly plugged, but hold on, let me switch this again.
Oh yeah.
Thoroughly plugged by 2 dudes. I can't. I need to leave. I am Zero Score in all the places. If you look me up and I'm not there, I'm not there. I am making that Final Fantasy VI story play that they've been talking about, so that's cool. It's going well. We're going to be about halfway through the first act of sorts by the time this goes up, so that's cool. It's moving quick. And just kind of as a final plug here for the 3 people that are still listening, I actually am starting early prep on Final Fantasy IX, which is the next one, because I don't know if you guys know, but I'm getting married and graduating in the next 6 months. So I want to get all of the the prep work done and have auditions and stuff so that people can have their lines while I'm gone for probably a good month or so with honeymoon and holidays and stuff like that. So I'm working on completing that game and getting all sides and stuff together to host auditions probably in the next month or so. If you are still listening, feel free to check that out when it happens, if you're a fan of Final Fantasy IX, because it's a big cast, real big. I keep forgetting, and then more characters show up, and I'm like, oh, this sucks.
Could you use more descriptive words to describe how big it is?
It's bigly. It's the bigliest.
All right, we're done. I'm leaving. I'm leaving. Throwing my headphones down. I'm done with this bullshit.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Sorry this has been so long. Unless you like it long, and then in that case, you're welcome. Wink. But until next time, stay charged.